Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Hollywood After Dark. It's Friday, December 16th, 2020. Oh my God, more news coming out. Henry Cavill's exit as Superman. Was he simply a pawn in The Rock's game? And is The Rock salty as hell that he's no longer top dog in DC, going as far as to deny a cameo in Shazam 2 and unfollowing Warner Brothers and the Black Adam account on Instagram? All of that, folks, tonight and more. Hollywood After Dark, let's fucking go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to the party. Welcome to the show. Like I said, it is Friday night. It is December 16th. We are simply T-minus 9 days until Christmas. So now is the time to, I don't have any product to sell. I don't have any mugs. I don't have any shirts. I don't have any jerseys. Eventually, though, HWAD merch will happen. But the HWAD squad is here tonight. Today, it's been a very interesting day. Obviously, it's been a crazy couple days here just in the internet, and I thought today might be a bit of a slower day. Turns out I was a little bit wrong. Let's see here. H Parts with $2 right off the bat says, can I show you the AI sequel tonight? Yeah, H Parts. If you want to send me that over, I'll read your other AI story. I showed H Parts how to use artificial intelligence to write stories, and he's been writing some stuff, guys, and it's definitely pretty funny. Speaking of AI, and I'll bring in Jimbo before I bring this up here. So Jimbo, one of the things I like to do is I've been working on my trying to revive my Podio commentary franchise, my show.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I talk about movies and stuff. You guys don't know what that is. Podio commentary, youtube.com/Podio commentary. Check it out there. I did one today. I did do one on Alita Battle Angel. That was about a 37-minute episode that I got recorded. And then as I was getting that all done, I thought to myself, it'd be kind of fun to do if I could figure out a nice, unique, interesting way to do thumbnail design. And I've really been getting into the concept of AI art. And I know some people say it's not art. Yeah, I like Midjourney. Although I've now kind of used up all my free trials. So they want to charge me like $30 a month in order to be able to use it, which I might do if I can understand how it actually works to like make some pretty good looking stuff, because it requires you to like really try to play with it a number of times image to refine. Prompt. Yeah, image prompts. So I was trying to do is the thing. Oh, God. I was trying to do an Alita Battle Angel unique AI art creation. And I was basing it off of, if I can get the image to load here, give it a second. Stupid StreamYard. Okay. So here's like the image that I was like trying to like pull from a little bit. And this is what the AI art came up with.
I commented on this. I said, what in the Burton verse?
Yeah. So my initial prompt for it was Alita Battle Angel sitting on a throne of skulls with blue and red lighting. I don't know why. It just sounded interesting. And then I just kept refining the image. This is, I think, like the 8th or 9th variation of what I had originally prompted it. And so this is what it came up with. I'm still working on it. There's so much you can do with it. It's so fascinating. Do I think it's going to eventually replace art? No, I don't. But I do think that it's going to make for some interesting artwork, because one of the things that I did try today is I actually brought back here. This is just the video for Podio commentary. If you guys are looking forward to the new episode, this is just the little intro to it. Oops, go back there a little bit because I screwed that up. All right. Let's see. In a world where advanced technology reigns supreme, one woman discovers her incredible destiny as a warrior. Did it crap out?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Advanced technology reigns supreme. One woman discovers her incredible destiny as a warrior in a fight to save the world. Alita Battle Angel is a thrilling sci-fi adventure that will leave you on the edge of your seat as you follow the journey of a powerful and determined hero. And we're going to be breaking it all down here today on Podio Commentary. Yeah, that's the opening of it. I'm still working on it. Believe it or not, again, that that little opening there is actually an AI prompt. I asked an AI, I said, can you give me a pitch for Alita Battle Angel? Right? Or a tagline for it. And ended up getting up all that stuff there. Donovan here says that he's against all AI art. Nah, I mean, look, AI art's interesting. All right. Like it's very interesting. All things considered, it's not going to replace art, and it shouldn't replace art, but it's interesting to see what a computer interprets art to be. And that in and of itself is also art. That's the funny thing about it, right? Is it's like, it does take an amalgamation of other ideas and compile them together to give you this idea. And the thing is, if you've looked into any of the Midjourney stuff, some of the stuff they come up with is truly, truly fucking crazy, right? And it's like, I saw one, someone did like cyberpunk Yoda, and it just looked like this crazy, I mean, like it was this, generated piece of art that just looked insane, but it's really eye-catching. It's pretty fascinating. Small screen here, James. It's unethical because it scrapes from other artists, but isn't all art just pulling from other art? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the whole point, right? That's kind of the whole point, isn't it? I'm just saying there's that. Now, Shogun here, I'm not saying use it. I'm saying it's an interesting idea. The technology is something that is there, and the technology is something that is going to only expand. So it's kind of like, and I like to, I'm a forward thinker on technology. So for me, I find it very fascinating, but it will probably not pick up in the way that I think artists are going to be worried about. It's not going to replace them, because you're never going to really be able to replace it, but it is very much going a particular way. Let's see. Anyway, we got Shogun for $5. Thank you. Says, Matt, sometimes if you type display full body and frame in the Midjourney prompt, it will render till the full characters in picture. I've seen some of that stuff, to be honest with you. I have seen some of that stuff, and it's wild. That's actually what prompted me to go check out Midjourney in general, and I just have fun kind of messing around with it. I think it's a very fascinating idea on that one there. Garrick here for $5. Thank you, buddy. Says, we should watch Nerdrotic's thoughts on The Way of Water. It's only 15 seconds. Yeah, we'll check that out towards the end. I've seen it. It's frustratingly stupid, but it's crazy. And then Command Unit here for $2. Thanks, buddy. Says, happy day. Command Unit is having a day. Command Unit is very much having a day. And everything else. James wants to come on. James will come on later on. We're gonna have a conversation about AR. It says we'll talk about it. It's a fascinating, but it is unethical. See, that begs the question about art and entertainment and science and evolution and expansion versus what is or isn't ethical. Because, a lot of our past advances have not been seen as quite ethical, but we still use the results of that. You know what I'm talking about? I know Jimbo had to dip out for a quick second, but I mean, it's literally like that. But Jimbo, it's true, right? There's a lot that's come out of unethical practices.
Oh yeah.
That has benefited society as a whole. And we tend to look the other direction on that.
Such as using animals for like beauty products and stuff like that.
Right. Like, isn't it? And I've talked about this before, and I'm not trying to kick it off on a whole conversation or a whole tangent, but like enzymes in the foreskin of young males is used in beauty products.
The fuck?
That's true? Is that ethical? Fuck no, right? But it happens, and no one ever says shit about it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we've done lab testing, we've done animal testing, we've done human testing. I mean, like, that's the whole one of the elements of the Holocaust, right? Was like, we did human testing on people. We didn't, but they did. It's we as a colloquial.
I was about to say, what do you mean
we? I know. What you mean we?
Dun.
Duh. Oh no. Exposed. No, fuck that. No, I'm Jewish. My family's Jewish. They escaped Germany long ago to get away from oppression. All right. I'm saying that, like, there was that, but there's a lot of that, like the eugenics angle. People have argued over the years. Some people, and I'm not supporting eugenics, I think it's ridiculous, but there are people out there that's unethical and how they view it. But there's a lot of people that think that if you cull the weak ones, it's only going to build a stronger society, right? Like, there's a lot of unethical elements that have happened with our culture that we tend to not talk about, and so I think it's, again, I don't know. I'm like, I think I'm digging a hole here that I'm trying not to dig. So I'm going to move on
You
from
kind
there.
of are.
Kind of are. It comes across that way a little bit. Let's see. Matt's taking the syndrome approach to AI versus artists. What? Oh, it's everything. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Jesse for 5 says, I'm sorry, Matt, but AI art can actually replace artists. Companies use it to replace and not pay for artists. It's a very slippery slope. I mean, listen, do you know how many people, these 4Ks
Companies
that
do that all the time.
companies do this. Companies will exploit it. Companies will always find a way. Yeah. Right. Wasn't it like Christopher Paolini, the guy who did the Aragon books or whatever, like Aragorn, whatever they were. Aragon. It's Aragon, not Aragorn.
Are you talking about okay? Aragorn's Lord of the Rings. Aragon is like the dragon fucking.
Yeah, Aragon.
movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, he has a new book coming out where apparently like the publisher used AI art on the cover of it, and that's been a cause for concern in some ways. It's
cheap and efficient.
Yeah, it's cheap and efficient. But then again, it's like this, you sit there and you say AI, art can replace artists, but if it's a cost-effective element of it, right? So let's look at it for a second from a cost-effective approach. How many times do American animation companies farm their animation to countries like Taiwan and countries like Korea and countries like China? Because it's cheaper. Because it's cheaper. Simpsons did that back in the day. Right? They would do the animatics here, and then they would send it all overseas in order to have the colorists overseas work on it to finish up the animation over there. It's all cost effective, but it's at the cost of we'll pay artists what they're worth. But if they keep outsourcing, it's look, what we're talking about here is more or less unfettered capitalism versus the ethical nature of the creation of the art is really what we're talking about at the end of the day. It's a very interesting conversation. I find AI art to be insanely fascinating. From a hobbyist perspective, I would never want to actually do it in a way that would be considered commercial, because that to me would feel like a step too far. But it's also like, actually, here's the thing. James is here. We're gonna have a fun conversation about this. What's up, James?
Yeah, I had to hop on because this was a conversation happening now. I didn't want to miss it. What's up?
You're just like, I'm going to come in later on. And then you're like, I'm going to get there fucking fast, motherfucker. You know? But so your thought, so you believe, now we're on a whole different subject here, not even something I'd prep for tonight, but you believe that AI art is unethical.
I think so. Yeah. I have a lot of friends, artist friends, and a lot of friends in the industry. And that's all I've been seeing for the last couple of weeks. And they've made some really good points. But I just think as a whole, it's unethical as the way it's trained, and there are people that are selling it. And I saw a post today where this person complained they worked 3 hours on an AI art, and and then someone stole it as an NFT and was selling it as an NFT. And then they were complaining, and that they got ripped off.
I love that for a multitude of fashions. One, It's all about unfettered capitalism. And also NFTs are bullshit. And, the former president just made $4.5 million selling off a bunch of NFTs yesterday. So go figure.
Did he really make that much money?
Yeah, that's 45,000 cards is what those went out. They sold out they're $99 each, and they sold them in like a day. Right? Because hey, if you want a Trump trading card for Christmas, maybe that's the thing YouTubers should do. So we should start selling our own cards, our own AI art generated cards for NFT.
Yeah, you saw my post. I'm like, I bet you it was AI art.
It looked really bad. Bad. But the thing is, though, but let me kind of pose an alternative approach to this, right? You're an editor, okay?
Yeah, I'm also a cartoonist.
Yeah, so you're a cartoonist, but I'm going to focus predominantly on your editing skills, which I think are really good. Do you not pull from other sources when you create something?
I get inspired, but like clips,
you get inspired.
I use pre-existing media.
Exactly.
But here's the thing: that argument of artists always copy each other. Yeah, artists steal, they copy, I always said, great artists take their influences and make it their own style, right? But there's a reason why. What's that, RJ?
Oh,
it's Jimbo, not RJ. It's Jimbo.
So I was gonna say example like that's true because I just got done with the Northern Renaissance art class for one of my humanities, and there's this famous artist named Jan van Eyck, and his style and his use of religious theology and intense realism was adapted further. Like people like Derek Bouts, who came after him, heavily used his type of style but use it in his own. So it's like that's what artists do. They find someone that inspires them and they take kind of their style but make it their own.
Yeah,
it's always like kind of evolving.
Yeah, it's a human evolution, right? But it's complete. It's like Norman Rockwell inspired Alex Ross, right? And Alex Ross and I'm sure Drew Sturgeon, who did all the Star Wars posters, inspired a lot of this generation's artists. Frank Miller, you know. But if you have an algorithm that just scrapes all this art without the permission of the artist, like ArtStation today just released that if you do a hashtag no AI, then it won't be scraped. But shouldn't that be by the default? Shouldn't it only scrape public domain?
I mean, I do agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think it should have been at the start. It only scrapes public domain.
But what I'm talking about though is when the point I was trying to get to earlier about bringing up you editing videos for, like, let's say for your channels or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you use a lot of pre-existing material that you do not own. Correct. In your videos, right?
In the regulated terms of fair use.
Yes, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's the thing
we
here.
Strive for that, like it's a pain in the butt.
Oh, right? Sure. But even then, you may be busted. You may get a content claim by a bot that scrapes it and says that this is owned by somebody else. That happens all the time on this platform. But all that aside, all that particular part of it aside, getting down to brass tacks about fair use, what you do is you contact the companies of which you use their material in order to do a transformative art piece, which you then monetize on this platform.
Do I contact them?
Do you seek out permission? No, you don't.
If I'm using a song, or if I'm using a clip longer than what's under fair use, yes.
Okay. But let's say,
those are the rules.
But then again, but the length of a clip is actually something that is undetermined. That is a misnomer. The whole 15-second rule is just it's like a guideline. It's not an actual rule.
There is like a certain amount of seconds that you can use without.
There's not. I mean, maybe a content ID claim, but in reality, under copyright law, as far as I understand it, when I was in college, unless this has changed, is that's just a rule.
It has changed actually in the last decade.
Well, you can blame Disney for that. I graduated in 07, so maybe things.
No, I wouldn't. It's not Disney. It's more like technology dictated the evolution of the change, right? Especially with YouTube and how everyone's doing all these reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
So, no, I understand your point, right? And so if I'm using a song or if I'm using a long clip, I will reach out to them, right? Jason Fabok draws very similar like David Finch. Yeah, that's an influence. I just think, again, it boils down to where they're getting the sources to train the AI algorithm, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's at least 36 artists I know that have been affected by their style showing up in AI generated images.
That's always an issue. Like I wanted to bring up this one that I made. I just was messing around with it, right? I put this in my thumbnail yesterday, but this is like, I went in there, I said, Henry Cavill drunk at a bar, Henry Cavill Superman drunk at a bar, photorealistic 8K. And I did a couple roll throughs of it, and this is what I came up with, because I don't fully understand the process. I just thought the image itself, you can easily see that is to some extent Henry Cavill.
Yeah, it looks like something out of Injustice.
It does. It really does. But then you go up against something like this, which had a lot more rules to it, a lot more processes. I played around with it a lot more. You can see like there's a bit more to it. So it's one of those scenarios. But then, and this is something that I didn't have a story for, but I found this actually on the internet before going live, this is someone's like, oh, look, first look of Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. And this is clearly AI generated art that they're trying to put out there as being this thing. So it's like, you can see things like this where it is able to find a way to replicate something that could fool people, and that is going to be a problem as time goes on.
Yeah, it's like those pictures of Trump kissing immigrants. I saw that yesterday, and I was laughing my ass off. It was hilarious.
Well,
But yeah,
you know,
it's just the way they train the technology, man. Like it just we created this thing. They didn't even give two thoughts about it and release it to the public, you know. And
well,
then
we've been
there's
seeing it forever on apps with like, you know, on mobile devices. Surprisingly, mobile devices has had that, but I do think that's a lot to come out of China. Have you seen? You know what creeps me out is the AI generated news reporter in China. Have you seen that?
yeah,
That weirds me the fuck out because like that is where we're going. Like that is, you know, people have talked about it, you know, and I see a Batman Superman, you know, crying in the chat about it's boring. This is the fucking future, bro.
yeah.
This is the future. This is not like tomorrow conversation. This is happening now, which is why it's so fucking fascinating. But when you think about where things are going, like look at UE5. You know, UE5 just came out. You can do a lot with it. You can develop things quite rapidly. I've seen a whole bunch of short films on YouTube that are done in UE5. I've seen Skyrim recreated in Unreal Engine 5 with almost photorealistic results. So we're seeing these things now being done in the consumer space or in the hobbyist space, which means that the behind, you know, look at like the deep fake shit they've got over there at Lucasfilm, right? What they did with Mark Hamill or Luke Skywalker for Mando season 2, where they brought in that Shamook guy who retooled their entire deep fake AI, and they were actually able to go on in and then just create the dialogue from old samples of Mark Hamill's voice, and it sounded very close. And now James Earl Jones has sold off his voice to Lucasfilm in order for Darth Vader to live on to the end of time. Bruce Willis sold his likeness.
Robert Downey Jr. owns his likeness. It was very smart.
Oh, he bought his.
He owns the rights to his 3D scan for the Marvel films.
Oh, okay, that's very smart.
Can I read something? There's an artist called Chris Sheehan that I know. He's been very vocal about this AI, and you know, actually, I'm not going to read it because it's too long. But it's like Photoshop, man. Like everyone was afraid when Photoshop came out and digital tablets, you know, it's going to put artists out of business. But this is really different because it's using samples from other artists, you know, on a grand scale.
No, it's definitely an interesting topic of conversation. Like I said, I find because it's unfortunately it's an inevitability, right? And it's just the way that these companies are going. Like, yeah, in the next 10 to 15 years, it's entirely possible that we will have, like, you know, if you look at you didn't see Avatar 2 yet, did you?
No.
Okay. Like, are you planning on seeing it?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay. But it's not in theater? You should really see it in theater. You should really see it in theater. If it comes
to this town, yeah, I'll go see it.
Oh, okay. It's in, yeah, Jimbo and I saw it yesterday. We fucking loved it. But the thing is though, it's like, if you look at the technology used in that, how they did the mocap, how there are some times when you're watching Avatar 2, it looks real. Like it looks like you're watching a documentary. And part of that was due to the high frame rate, which I'm not a big fan of.
Right.
But you're watching this, and the way that it's done, it looks real.
Well, that's like, Cameron for you.
That's Cameron. And that's pushing the evolution of filmmaking. And that, of course, is going to be something that's taken. Then that's going to be completely remixed, recreated by the next generation, you know? And it's like, I remember after Avatar came out, when I was hearing about, what was it? Resident Evil 4, I think it's Apocalypse, right? Or no, is it Aftermath is the fourth one? Doesn't matter. Whatever. The fourth Resident Evil movie. And Paul W.S. Anderson was directing it. It was his first one directing since the first movie. And he went on this whole thing. He's like, yeah, we're doing this in 3D, and we're using the same cameras that James Cameron shot Avatar with. And then when I saw Resident Evil 4, I saw it in 3D. And I was like, man, yeah, it looks really good. Because they took the time with the technology that Cameron had definitely popularized and had really worked within in order to use the medium to you know, build upon that concept. And this is just the next evolutionary phase. We're going to see assholes, you know, in their garage, and not even their, on their fucking laptop in 5 years, that are going to be able to put together things that rival, Disney 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, you know what? You know what I'm doing over the Christmas break is I'm doing a 10-hour course on Unreal Engine 5, so I can make some realistic films.
There you go. I
Yeah.
thought about doing that myself. I need to upgrade my my PC. I realize it's been like 6 years since I've got a new processor. I'm like, ooh, I should probably look into getting something new.
I
But
just
again,
think the biggest problem, like just to put a cap on it, is that like an example is a grand artist died like 2 weeks ago, and then 3 days, or actually the beginning of October, and then 3 days later, they scanned his artwork in and trained it under an AI model without his permission or the estate's permission, right? So
Yeah.
I think there should be some form of regulation, and I think that's the problem. Is like it just hit the public market. It's easy to do, and there was no regulation whatsoever. No thoughts to that or the consequences. So and this is just art. Imagine if like full blown artificial intelligence happens and there's no regulation or whatnot. Yeah, it'll be Skynet, man.
well, I mean, people have been fearing that for a long time anyway, and I
Yeah.
think it's very it's to me, just as a person who loves watching the creation of art in many different forms.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching to see what comes out next, and because I think part of it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm not artistically inclined.
See,
On that
that's
front.
another thing. It's like I see so many writers are using AI art now, or like people are like loving AI art that aren't artists, or even like want to try
Yeah.
and be an artist, and I get that appeal, but that's the majority of people are for it because with a couple prompts they can make a piece of art.
And but I think that novelty will eventually wear off. I do.
Yeah.
Because if a lot of it is scraped, then it's going to end up being copyright claimed, and that's going to end up being a bigger issue. So again, there's a lot going on with that stuff.
Yep.
That's a whole conversation. It's, there's a lot of nuance there. I definitely understand and respect your opinion. And again, I agree with you on the regulation,
Yeah.
but it's like, a lot of people, one of the things, and maybe this is just my perspective on it, is like, one of the things I truly like, James, is when people make very critical art of me.
So you're inviting people to make AI art review.
People have already drawn me naked. Go on Google and look up Mundane Matt Rule 34. It exists.
No, thanks.
And I'm not going to lie, rather generous. So thank you.
Batman through Man says, so people will make entire films at home now. LOL. Yeah, they already do though.
They already do. You can go watch a whole bunch of stuff on there. I mean, people are, well, look at the shutdown. How many movies are Crudes 2 was finished at home. Pixar movies are finished because what it is they're tied into the network. They're tied into that collective. They have all of that processing power that they can pull from via the net. And that is where, again, just as soon as the processing power ends up being allowed, and like, you could say like Web3 or whatever's going to happen with the future of blockchain technology, because that's even in and of itself a massive thing. So we're just in this weird kind of new space, and it is wild and it's crazy and it is dangerous. My biggest fear is not necessarily the AI art scraping the artists and being able to create something that looks photorealistic of another person, but it's the AI that's going to be able to rip their audio and be able to make it seem like they've actually done that. They've said
already
things.
started that. Yeah.
They did this years ago. Adobe put out a tester with Jordan Peele, and they were saying like the idea behind it, at least what they were implying at the time, was that, you could submit 20 minutes of your audio to this program and then type out what you want, and it will figure it out and it will run through it. And then what it does also is like, it's meant to be for podcasts where you forget to add a part, or an audiobook where you forget to add a section, or you just need to add it in real quick. And I'm like looking at that going like, bullshit. I'll go into AI. I'll have AI write an entire script. And then like, I'll do an entire script for a audio commentary of what I want to say. And then I'll just use my own vocal profile and have it just run through that directly. And like, but then like I put out this, I mean, dude, there are people on YouTube that have 100,000 followers. I mean, hundreds of thousands of subs, that all they do is they just go and they scrape an article. They run it through a text to speech translator, Microsoft fucking Sam, and they drop it. And then people are like, whatever, I'll keep listening to it. Like they're like, it boggles my mind what people will listen to for the sake of convenience. But it is through that idea that these companies will get this idea and they'll make it a big thing. It's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy to me. And everything else. But
did you say congratulations to Command Unit yet?
Yeah, we were talking all day today. I told him because he said to me something like, he's like, because he's hyped, like he's coming in his pants hyped. That's how hyped he is.
Yeah, this is Christmas for Command.
This is
I'm very happy for you, brother.
Yeah, I said that to him too. I said, it may not be my thing, but I'm very happy that you're happy. And he is very happy about that. So, it's definitely a thing. But anyway, on the AI bit here, we'll get to that later on. But HBarts had an AI prompt to write a sequel to a short story that he made about me the other day. But I mean, again, the hobbyist part of that is the funniest part to me. Did you watch that thing I did about the Bigfoot assassin?
No, not yet.
So that was a little short I put out. It's just, I went to a chat prompt and I was like, tell me a story about Bigfoot being hired as an assassin by the CIA. And it gave me this 200 word prompt. Yeah. And I just recorded it and I made it a little short, and it's just like and then I went into like DAL-E or whatever, or some Dream AI, whatever, one of those things. I typed in gorilla in a suit or Bigfoot in a suit holding a gun, just for shits and grins to kind of put it out there as a little experiment. It's just stupid stuff, but yeah, I get your point.
When you told me about that, it reminded me of it's an independent comic book from the 90s called Lethargic Comics Weekly. And there was a little backup story in the comics, and it was Bigfoot Private Detective. So every time you mention that, it's like I get the black and white art in my head. Yeah.
Someone was telling me, we were talking about it the other night, and people were like, you should just write the script. I'm like, yeah, I could write a story about Bigfoot joining the CIA. It would really be about the handler, but it would be, that would be the backdrop of it. But all right, well, we can move on there. Let's see here. All right. So, no, we got Jess here. Garrick here says, finally saw Avatar 2 today. I'm speechless. Are we sure James Cameron didn't fly to an alien planet and filmed what he saw? The effects are insane. It's crazy. Some of the effects, were having issues. Like I had stuttering in my HFR, which I was not happy with.
Yeah. I only had stuttering during the trailers, which they corrected before the movie started. Thank God.
Yeah, I didn't really. I should. If I go see it, I'll probably go see it again. And I don't know if IMAX, but I don't think I'll. I mean, if it's stuttering, if I go see it in a regular 2D and they're stuttering, I'm gonna go complain because that's bullshit. But yes, the effects are insane. It looks amazing. The technology has absolutely just gotten better. So yeah, I loved Avatar 2. Command Unit for $2. Thanks, buddy. Says, are we doing a supporter stream today? Yeah, probably. We'll try. See how long this thing goes. It's just been a long day for me. So we'll see what's going on there with that. But then Shogun for $20. I wanted to make sure we got to this one. Thank you, Shogun. Saying human artists steal from humans who have jobs. AI is replacing a human's job, but some prompts are too complicated. You need a human to do it. So for now, my opinion, AI won't totally replace humans for now. I mean, the technology is eventually going to get there, but like some of these things, if you look on the Midjourney Discord, it's like, the prompts are nuts. Have you seen any of that stuff, James? Have you gone and looked at that at all?
Nope, I haven't touched it.
It's let me see if I can bring it up here on my app, because you want to do it on like I saw okay, like I'll just take a quick snapshot of this one here. That one's not too good. Well, anyway, there's a lot there that people. I mean, some of the prompts though are like this one I'm looking at here is just Ars Bedrovia, weathered vintage, pyroscopic Wedgwood Jasperware, hyper supernova, metaphysical dragonware gelatin, printed electronic sausage curtain, toaster fire containment terrarium, curtailing laboratory apparatus made of pressed featherboard and solidified plasma fire dominoes. Detailed, elaborate, hyper-realistic, maximalist, dynamic HDR spot color, industrial, cinematographic, live-action, dramatic, mixed medium security dash cam, high-speed 8K, 3D, radiograph, gigapixel, gum, bichromate, print Kodak
That's why it's
Brownie
a prompt.
AK vintage DLSR epoxy fluted enamel print photography.
That's a long band name or the next name of Elon Musk's kid.
But yeah, you know what? That's a good joke there on the kid thing. But and you're probably right. But this is the image because I can grab the image from what they show because it's all public and stuff. But like when it loads up here, this is the image that prompt created.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
Sick though.
Like what the fuck? I have no idea. But like this is the image that crazy ass prompt came up with. Now, I don't know how many rolls that they've done to get to that point, but that's what I'm talking about with just like, it's so fascinating to see what's going to come from that.
It totally is. It's just too bad that the way it's being trained is just affecting a lot of people. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, how would you feel if all your live streams got trained into an AI and then like someone just put up a live stream of you every week or every day, but it was done by AI?
Have you ever seen the there's an album that's out, right, of my voice?
No.
Yeah,
maybe I'm asking the wrong guy this because you really don't care about anything.
I mean, no, Ooh, ouch.
No, that's not a burn. That's the truth.
Wow.
It's the truth.
Wow. That's pretty. That's solid burn, by the way.
Well, I apologize if that hurt your feelings. I didn't.
Jarbo doesn't have feelings.
Jarbo doesn't care.
No, you don't, do you?
I'll tell you. Well, it all.
You were
it all
just telling me how people drew you naked, and you were fine with that.
What the fuck? Well, on that note, I gotta go to sleep.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot for coming on by here.
Make your best sleep.
Here, I'll show you. I'll show you this. Right, this is what we're talking about in regards to this. This is the song. Just listen. You might recognize it. Just listen.
Dear Ralph, I sent you a message. You still ain't calling. Left my Skype, Twitter, and Discord here at the bottom. That one time you got kicked off Discord last autumn. There probably was a problem with the servers or something. Wink, wink. Motherfuckers say shit. I usually block them. Fuck them. Why not? But this time, it's a pretty big problem. My girlfriend's pregnant too. I'm going to be a father. No, I'm kidding. It's just my girlfriend's daughter. I heard your channel was banned. Sorry, dude. I had a friend who killed himself. Just a shame that it wasn't you. And I know you hear this every day, but I'm the biggest fag. I even flagged your fat ass where you said nothing bad. But
So that's a song called what's it called? My Girlfriend's Daughter. And it's from a guy named MC Jarbo. He did go by the name Jarbo the Hutt for a while.
It's that guy who made the YouTube channel?
Yeah. So and he put out a full fucking album of my voice.
Wow.
Saying shit like that. A full album.
Really living rent free in his head.
I mean, well, no, it's called Chronicles of a Cuck LP. It came out 2 years ago. And there are 15 tracks on that album.
Well, that song was fascinating because it was well done.
The guy is, I hate to say it, but the guy is he's talented? He's talented. Yeah, he's talented as hell.
I didn't like the YouTube videos that much. They just seemed like there's no class to it. If there's some class, it'd be a different story. So
yeah, but I mean, it's the idea there essentially is that like I have no control over that.
Yeah.
Right. I have no control over this guy taking my voice and making me say horrible, terrible things and then profiting off of it. Yeah, he also lives in the UK, so there's nothing I can do about it anyway.
But it's not like an app that everyone has that they can just put in a couple of prompts.
Well, this guy actually developed software. He developed software in order to be able to do that. Like he used me as a catalyst for that. And that is why I can't be that upset. That's just the way I personally view it. Is like, the idea there is like fucked up. Like I say fucked up things. I'm not a big fan of that. It's just whatever. But then the guy goes and he takes this concept and he writes an entire piece of software in order to scrape all my videos, to run everything through a speech to text translator, to have a script. And then as he works on the song, he can just type it in and find what he needs me to say and grab that audio and drop it into a fucking timeline and then create create everything. And it's just like,
you just use meta tags. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, but it's like, still, it's fucking fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so people go, aren't you mad about that? I'm like, I was mad in the beginning because I thought this is fucked up. And then like, but the older I get, the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, that's kind of cool.
Well, yeah. And the more time passes too.
Yeah. I'm just, you know, and so, and then this guy now, actually, it's really funny is he actually has other targets that he goes after and then uses me to attack those people that I don't like. So it's kind of come full circle to an extent. But even then, there's like, you know, there not only was there that album with my voice, but other people created another album called Fat Miss Christmas, which came out in 2020 or 2019 or whatever. And that was other artists that made songs attacking me, that were all brought in to do this song, you know, like to put together a Christmas album attacking me. And the funniest thing about that, James, is that the guy who put it together, the musician who put it all together, is a fucking pastor at a church. And he had no problem with songs on there calling me a pedophile.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I just had to laugh at that shit. I had to laugh that this guy was like the assistant fucking pastor of this church and he moonlights as an online troll, you know, like it's just hysterical to me how this stuff kind of plays out. You know, Batman here says, can you tell us when you get to movies? I'm gonna get to them when I goddamn well please, dude. I'm fucking quit your bitching. I'm serious. Quit your bitching all the time with you. Yip, 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 yip,
Hey,
yip, yip.
Is that dude Vince? Is that guy Steve?
No.
Oh, okay.
That dude Vince is I don't know who Steve is, but Vince is cool, man. So let's see here. Maverick says, if it's not a touchy subject, the what's with the girlfriend's daughter business, that's pretty fucked up. Okay, so I can explain that real quick. Back in 2018, when my controversy happened, I was in a Discord call. No, sorry, it was a year later. I was in a Discord call. It was in 2019, and somebody was recording it. And as I've realized that if I'm in any conversation, in a private, at this point now, if I have any private correspondence, I expect it to be leaked. So I don't say certain things or whatever because of that. But someone had recorded that. And then in there, I had mentioned that my newborn was sick. She had a cold. And I said, oh, my girlfriend's got her because I'd heard her coughing. And so people interpreted that to say my girlfriend's daughter, implying that my daughter is not my actual kid. And that pissed me off because I'm like, no, my daughter is my daughter. She's my biological daughter. It's fucked up to say that, but everyone just ran with it. Didn't give a shit. So that's where that came from. My daughter's now 3. She's in preschool. She's fucking hysterical. I love her to death. So I don't really care much about that anymore. But, you know, at the time I did. So that's where that came from. But anyway, all right. The red comment here says, I probably preferred this conversation to whatever freaking was coming out of Max's stream. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. H-Bar's here for $5 says, speaking of Pastor Enosh is having a funeral on his channel. For what? Like his channel or for like Zack Snyder's Snyderverse? There's a guy, he is a pastor. And he was really big into Zack Snyder's Justice League and like all that stuff. And he was not happy that Henry Cavill was fired the other day, like really lost it. And like, so that's kind of the thing with that there, but it's pretty fucking
It's a messed up situation with everyone on Twitter right now.
Oh, everyone is upset, man. People are coming out there saying they're going to make terroristic threats and then they get upset and they get called out for it.
That's too much.
You know what I'm talking about. That was pretty good.
Throw up.
Yeah. Let's see here. Command unit for $2. Thank you. Says Henry Cavill will realize our grim dark future. I don't think he's going to have a grim dark future, friend. I think he's actually pretty happy with where he's at.
He's saying Warhammer has a grim dark future, so he's going to realize it.
Is it going to have a grim, dark future?
I think that's the whole premise.
Is it? I mean, it's pretty dark, yeah, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And then
Neither do I,
H-Wars,
I'm just guessing.
you're like, I'm just here for the party, man. H-Wars for 5, thanks, buddy. It says, you show the AI story yet? I dipped out, I was on a break. No, I haven't done that yet. We're going to get to that towards the end there, because it's like a couple-minute read. So we'll do that. Let's see. And all right, The Rock is giving the silent treatment. That he is. Actually, I kind of want to. We'll touch upon that first.
Yeah.
Have you been following anything with The Rock?
Just picking up through osmosis. I did send you a message in Discord though. But yeah, let's go with The Rock.
Let's see here. Yes, yeah. Send the link. That's fine.
All right.
That's perfectly good. So, all right, where were we here? So, okay, so what we found out today. This just popped up a little bit ago. This was sent my way. I thought kind of accurately depicts the situation to an extent. The Rock, cast as Black Adam. The movie's in development hell for over a decade. Spends years going on and on about the hierarchy of the DC universe. Strong arms WB to bring it back Cavill. The movie flops, commits fraud. Cavill's fired, refuses to elaborate, leaves. It's harsh, but it's true. It is. And there's been a very interesting take upon that, right? Like, do you think that, I know you enjoyed Black Adam and that's all well and good, but do you think that The Rock's inability to speak on the subject has been, that's been pretty deafening?
Well, he hasn't been able to speak about anything except Black Adam for years. He couldn't even say restore the Snyderverse. He couldn't even comment on any of the stuff that was happening while his movie's been in development.
Yeah.
So, and he was very vocal about like that one video he did in the truck where he was talking about bringing Superman back and stuff. And, so yeah, it is a bit odd that he's been quiet now.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the thing with him that I find to be the most fascinating, because earlier today, news was kind of breaking that did they delete it? They must have deleted it. Damn it. Did they get rid of it? They did, those sons of bitches. There was a tweet. Let me see if I can get it here a little bit earlier. Oh, okay. So there was a rumor going around that The Rock had unfollowed both Black Adam and Warner Brothers Discovery on Instagram. And so Brendan Davis here had said that, he had asked what's going on with that. The Rock then responded 100% not true. Never followed either account on Instagram. And then he says, words, sorry to share them, went ahead and deleted to avoid any confusion. But a lot of other people are kind of going like, look, I press X to doubt because I think he probably did. There's been a lot going on. He hasn't said anything about what's going on with Henry Cavill. Even Brendan Davis asked him yesterday for an update about that. Will you give an update? Will you give an update? Will you talk about this? Because this was a big deal. And the funny thing too is that today Black Adam hit HBO Max. Less than 2 months after its release, it is now on HBO Max right now. And with Cavill being let go, the report coming out today about Henry Cavill being part of that whole situation, the pawn, which we can talk about that here in a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to ask your opinion on that.
Yeah, I haven't fully gone through the whole article yet. I just kind of wanted to start with the Rock stuff. And it's not that I'm loving it. It's an interesting story. I've been covering it quite a bit. But it's one of those things where it's like, what I feel bad about in regards to Dwayne is that, he spent all those years working on it, all those years building it up.
He's got to be upset about that.
He's got to be upset, but it's like also this was a gamble and lose situation. Yeah. And I think at this point, it's like you got to just accept the reality of where things are, accept what has happened, and then come out and go, you know what, best foot forward. Let's just make it, if we can make it work. But he never congratulated James Gunn or Peter Safran. But
they never congratulated him either, right?
Well, why would they?
Yeah, I know, because he wasn't involved in that, but
they weren't around for any of that stuff. And I'm pretty sure, but the thing is, James Gunn has also not spoken negatively in any capacity of Dwayne. I think he's actually spoken pretty positive of him.
And neither has Dwayne to James Gunn.
True, but when it comes out that look, the thing is though, the way that The Rock probably feels a couple things. One, he's frustrated with how it happened.
Well, we talked about this before, like people congratulating, you get signed or you get a deal or whatever, right? Like you always get a lot of congratulations. So it is like the silence is deafening. It is
Yeah.
very odd.
I mean, again, like I'll pull from my experience working in the flower shop in LA.
Yeah, I set you up for that. Go ahead. I gotta get something.
Good job, James. But no, anyway, I agree with Kenneth here. The Rock is frustrated as fuck right now. He absolutely is, and he probably like. I saw a comment earlier. I forget who said it, but I saw someone bring up the idea about the DC League of Super Pets. What does that mean? Oh no, that shit's fucking dead. Like that was a $90 million movie. It might have turned a minuscule profit for the studio, but again, it just failed to connect because when you're looking at Crypto the dog, you're not looking at Crypto the dog. You're looking at Dwayne The Rock Johnson. When you're looking at Black Adam, you're looking at Dwayne The Rock Johnson. That is his biggest folly as a talent. And it's one that, unfortunately doesn't really work out very well here. But unfortunately, things have kind of turned out the way that they did. The red comment here says the Black Adam situation shows why you shouldn't have an A-lister as your lead in one of these universe movies. They will want too much control. I get that he was cast back in 2007, but still, I'm okay with there being a creative approach to everything. I don't mind if a talent, I wouldn't care if like Harrison Ford all of a sudden came back and said, you know what, I want to do a Han solo movie, but I want to be the one.
There's not too many butting heads through the process.
Yeah, that's a big factor here. I don't know what happened with the Black Adam script in regards to like what they were trying to do with it. I just feel like there is a cut of the movie that exists that has a great deal of more plot, in certain elements of the film to expand upon the lore. And I think that was the biggest thing lacking in the movie for me personally. But I also appreciate what they did on a visual level. And I feel the director of photography did a fantastic job in that movie.
Yeah.
And I like the soundtrack. I thought that was great.
Pacing was fantastic.
Yeah, it worked. I won't disagree. I'm not going to argue with that. I need to watch it again to.
Well, no, if the pacing was any slower, the film wouldn't have worked as a whole. It is. It's a roller coaster ride. That's what it is.
It's very quick too. I think it's like what, just under 2 hours long or whatever.
Yeah.
But the sad thing about it was just that it got screwed over by Ezra Miller. I'll say that. Because Ezra's Follies earlier this year delayed, they pushed back Black Adam to the time slot that the Flash effectively was going to take. So the Black Adam was meant to be the end of summer movie. And I think it would have done well. I think it would have done well at that time because it does feel like an end of summer kind of movie.
Oh yeah, it's a great summer blockbuster in October. Yeah.
Yeah. Except, the audiences didn't really show up for it. But I think but aside from that, I think that
it didn't
had
help that like a really good copy hit online like a day later.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't check that out.
Yeah.
Usually I'm pretty in the know of what goes on because I'll see screenshots floating around. You can always kind of tell the quality of something getting leaked online. Are you talking about like the Henry Cavill end credit scene? Because that was high quality. Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the whole movie. Yeah.
Because I know the Henry Cavill end credit scene. That was people were shooting that off their cell phone in 4K. Like the night of the premiere. So we had a really quality looking images of it at the time. And I think that hurt it, to be honest with you. I really think that hurt it more than anything else.
He let the cat out of the bag even before that leak, though.
He did. He let the cat out of the bag. But again, it was a slow build it was building to the hype, right? Like we knew that coming out of the Black Adam premiere, there was going to be the confirmation that Henry Cavill Superman was in it. But what they didn't anticipate were people leaking the images, I don't think, because they were trying. And I said this at the time, I felt like they were pulling from the fan screenings of Venom 2, where people confirmed that Spider-Man was in it. And then Sony leaned into the marketing, I think like about 2 weeks before the movie came out, and that elevated its box office. And they were trying to replicate that here. But the problem though, is that the entire scene got leaked out. Whereas with Tom Holland, none of that got leaked out. It was only just reports from people online. And so there was that air of skepticism.
Yeah.
And I think that really, helped benefit Venom. Because I'll say this, Black Adam was a much better movie than Venom 2. Much better movie than Venom 2.
Seen any of the Venom films.
Venom 1 is fun. Venom 2, I love Andy Serkis. I thought he did okay directing it, but the script was terrible. And now the woman who wrote the script for the first two is now directing Venom 3. So let's just write that off. She's never directed a movie before, but hey, let's give her a $100 million fucking movie because she's Tom Hardy's friend. That's true. That's accurate. Like, look that up. It's a terrible thing. But yeah, it's going to be a crazy scenario as we move forward with all this stuff. But let's take a look here at the article The Hollywood Reporter dropped up today, all about the fall of Henry Cavill's Superman.
I gave this a skim. It's actually pretty short.
It is a short article.
Longer, yeah.
This is from Aaron Couch and Boris Kitt. And, the Hollywood Reporter got called out by James Gunn the other day for getting some factoids wrong. Mm-hmm. So they maybe didn't want to overly speculate with this because of that. And that's actually, but I'll tell you this, James, that's one of my favorite things about Gunn.
Well, it's Gunn, a good byproduct of it, right?
It's great. It's because it causes all of these trades to go, ooh, maybe we have to be more careful with how we approach this stuff because they're going to
trades.
Yeah, they're going to call us out for it because, well, considering that all three major trades are all owned by Penske Media and that is somehow not considered a monopoly, but whatever, I'm still waiting for like the antitrust laws to come in and check out Penske, but that's never going to happen because they're the fucking media. So, money, you can never control the media, man. And no, I'm not fucking referencing Kanye. All right. I'm just talking about they being the Penske Media has the power. Anyway, I've almost digging myself in a couple holes tonight. I gotta be careful. All right. So nearly 2 months to the day after Henry Cavill declared on Instagram that he was back as Superman, saying, "I want to make it official," he said in the October 24th clip, the actor was forced to acknowledge that no, he will not be back after all, as the new DC studio bosses, James Gunn and Peter Safran, chart a new course for the Man of Steel in a movie to be written by Gunn, which will feature a younger actor in the role. So Cavill says, "I will, after all, not be returning as Superman." He said in a new post on December 14th, after being told by the studio to announce my return back in October prior to their hire. "This news isn't the easiest, but that's life. The changing of the guard is something that happens. I respect that. James and Peter have a universe to build." And he's not wrong. I mean, he's absolutely right. These guys got to come in and just fucking course correct. So that's how it goes. Going on here, it says the sunsetting of Cavill's time as Superman was the clearest indication yet that Gunn and Safran are mounting a substantial overhaul of DC, a reboot that will cut significant, if not most, ties to the previous regimes that handled DC movies for Warner Brothers, which is the Snyderverse. Let's be fair. They should call it what it, they should just, they're afraid to say it. You can tell.
Yeah.
They're afraid to say Zack Snyder's name in that. Is Snyder, hold on. I'm just going to Google it here. Is Snyder mentioned one time? One time it's mentioned in the article. So
yeah, and it's about the sensitivity of it.
Yeah, it's like they're just, oh my God, they're so worried. They're so worried over it. But all right here. So going on here, it's sorry. Cavill also shot a cameo in The Flash, one of 4 DC films to release in 2023, but sources say that cameo, along with that of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, are now being cut, given that the studio chose to not go forward with Patty Jenkins' versions of Wonder Woman 3. So the Flash film news, you saw that today? They said they refuted that particular report. Did you see that?
What was it?
Because they're saying here that Henry Cavill Superman and Gal Gadot were both removed from the Flash movie. And the Flash film news has, which we know at this point has absolute direct connection to the Muschiettis. They came out and they refuted that. So, so they said that. So we don't know yet what's going on. I want to make sure I'm correct on that. Let me make sure I'm correct.
The Flash film news on Twitter, you mean, has direct connections to Machete?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. They've got it, man. They 100%. So, okay. So they say here, exclusive sources close to the production refutes the Hollywood Reporter's claim that Gal Gadot has been removed from The Flash. Now, but they don't say anything there about Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
So that to me would make the most amount of sense. Because I don't know if they want to get rid of Gal Gadot. I mean, she is really well loved, and she's probably willing to work with the studio.
It sounds like she is.
You know, because she came out last week and gave that really interesting, post about, oh no, I can't wait to share with you guys what happens next as her friend and collaborator gets axed from the project. So she's probably like holding on for dear life. But
I don't think that they should let her go, honestly. I think they should keep her.
Yeah, I agree. I love her. I love her in the role. I really do. I feel Wonder Woman 84 was not a good movie, but she wasn't what was wrong with that movie. And if she does have a significant cameo in Shazam 2, then that could be something. If that does well, that could then reinvigorate the love of her. And that could also be used as a way to, again, get people to go see the movie in theaters. Which I think now opens it opens at the beginning of March, which is actually a really good time for comic book movies that aren't sandwiched in between two massive fucking Marvel films. It's because it comes out a couple weeks after Quantumania. So there's a little bit of time before Shazam 2 gets out there. So I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, so here's going on. It says Cavill found himself in a confluence of different headwinds at the studio. Dwayne Johnson pushed for his return via the much-hyped cameo in Black Adam and a potential linchpin for Johnson's own DC Universe franchise. But Black Adam has grossed $389 million worldwide, a soft performance calling into questions Johnson's much-touted plans for a sequel and an eventual Adam vs. Superman movie, even before Gunn's decision. The studio had its own plan, as new film co-chiefs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdy wanted to make Man of Steel 2, having Peaky Blinders co-creator Stephen Knight write the treatment. Classic character Brainiac was said to have been the villain of that piece, according to a source. That has got a lot of people angry, more so than like the firing of Henry Cavill. They're like, we could have gotten Brainiac,
Well, you're going to get Brainiac eventually anyways.
Yeah. You're just going to get the James Gunn version of Brainiac. That's all it is.
He's head of DC Studios, but he's not going to be directing everything,
Yeah. Well, he's not going to be directing. I mean, he's probably not even going to direct Superman. He'll probably give it off to somebody else.
Yep.
Ben Affleck, maybe. A thought.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be interesting. I mean, but it's like he's going to write it. Obviously, we know that he's writing it, but he's got Peacemaker season 2, and I still think that's happening. So, that show was really popular for HBO Max. Now, going on here, they say, in the end, he was a pawn in Dwayne's failed attempt to control a piece of DC, one insider observes. Now, I think that's a very telling and poignant statement.
That's a very bold statement, too.
But he's not wrong. The insider, in my opinion, is not wrong.
I'm
Back
not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying it's very bold to come out and say that.
I would
wonder
love
how Dwayne Johnson feels about that.
Well, as far as I can tell, Dwayne Johnson hasn't responded to it on social media, so we don't know how he feels about it, really. I do feel that, like, looking at that particular comment right there, it's like, Dwayne was trying to, like, the credit that I give Black Adam is that as far as DC films are concerned, it is probably the most connected DC movie, right? You've got Superman, you've got Waller, you've got, the JSA, you've got Black Adam. There are elements of that movie that very much hint at a larger, wider world.
Yeah,
and that
especially
is
with the JSA and when they came out and said what they did.
Yeah,
that was a big one too.
Yeah, that was big. So, they did a lot to establish the larger DC universe at that moment. And I respect that. I do. I really respect. And it was something I really enjoyed about the movie. I feel the problem, though, is just that the plot was a bit on the lackluster side. So there's that. But, anyway, here, Cavill, sources say, did not have a deal in place to return as Superman, only a verbal agreement that the studio would develop future projects. And I kept saying that too. Everyone kept telling me he's got a deal. I'm like, he doesn't have a deal. That hasn't happened yet. Saying here that he was paid $250,000 for each of his cameos. The actor in recent years had a resurgence thanks to starring in The Witcher, which saw him earning $1 million an episode. Holy shit.
Yeah. And he got $500,000 for both cameos.
Yeah. And that finished up his contract. So that is, there we go. Now, Cavill left the show this fall, although it's unclear if the promise of more Superman appearances were behind his exit. I do think that was part of it, to be fair. I really do think that was part of it. But I also feel that there was a lot of problems happening with the Witcher as well. I just think that was all that. Gunn and Safran are well aware of the sensitivities behind axing the popular Justice League cast by Zack Snyder, as well as the sensitivities of parting ways with high-profile and popular talent. Foregoing a call to agents or producers, the executives met with Cavill to discuss their plans and seemed to indicate a potential new role down the road. The pair have also made overtures to Ben Affleck, aka Batman, asking him to direct a DC film. While Jason Momoa, who may be done as Aquaman, has met with them as well about playing a new role. And of course, Cavill lined up the 40K situation over there at the Warners.
Lobo.
The Lobo for Momoa, but Cavill doing Warhammer at Amazon. I have to be right back.
Okay.
Nature has called. It is. I'll be right back.
Going.
Yeah, feel free to talk to the chat and ask him questions about small screen. He's got a lot of insight.
Yeah, Blessing says we're probably not going to see any of the future movies till around 2024 or 2025. Yeah, I would guess early 2024, and then that's when we're going to start seeing them. I don't think we're going to see anything in the next year coming up, because they still have to write them and then do the pre-production and then shoot it and then do post-production. So yeah, I don't know. Did Gal Gadot have a Shazam cameo? Red Comet? I'm not sure. Yeah, but there were some pretty good comments here. I worry this could affect Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Haters going to try to boycott. NTR Rising says. Well, I don't know if they're going to try and boycott it, but the general audiences are definitely still going to go see it. So I don't think it'll affect Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 at all, to be honest with you. I haven't really... The last good DC animated film I watched was Son of Batman. I really enjoyed it. I don't think I think after Justice League War, I kind of got a little turned off from the animated series. Once Andrea Romano came, she stopped being the voice casting and voice director, and they just changed that format. Once it was like when the new 52 came out, I wasn't a big fan of them. I think Justice League Doom too. I did see. Actually, I saw Red Sun. That was pretty good. They had this like weird filter over top of all the animation cells to give it that kind of grainy look or that 1950s feel, and it was cool, but it kind of threw me off. I did not see Rings of Power. I did not even see The Hobbit, even though that's my favorite book. I think as far as film adaptations and television adaptations go, I think the Lord of the Rings trilogy said it all and encapsulated the best. But I have been thinking about watching Rings of Power because I have heard good things and I've heard bad things. So, but I might watch The Hobbit first. I think eventually I'll get there. Like within the next year, I'll get back on the Lord of the Rings train once I read the books again. Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Yeah, I did see that. I think I did see that. They all blur together after a while, especially when they're all kind. Actually, no, I don't think I saw Dark Apocalypse War. I think I just grabbed some clips off YouTube for a video at one point. But yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Or is that the one where they say Justice League's got this because Jeff Johns based it off his comic? I didn't watch Death of Superman Part 1. I really should, but yes, I am Canadian. That's right. Oh yeah, they made a trilogy out of The Hobbit. That's right. Like, how can you make a trilogy out of like a 110-page book? Like, that's... I don't know. And Green Lantern Beware My Power. No, I have not seen that yet. Is that the one with 5 different stories? Because I did see that one. What I really liked was the Shazam Superman short that the DC Animated Universe put out, and the Green Arrow short. That was really well done by Jay Olivia, and the Spectre one was great because it was like a 70s private eye crime thriller. I enjoyed that a lot. Oh, don't be sorry. I love being Canadian. Well, I used to. I'm not so sure about now, but what you gonna do? But I get the nagging feeling that a lot of this could be James Gunn creating a 4D chess smokescreen by canning all the JLO cast, but in secret they are not being recasted. McLeod2692. Well, I was thinking like down the road if they have a good send off in the Flash film, right, and it's a surprise to the audience, like maybe this is a smokescreen just to say, okay, these guys aren't going to be back, but then they are actually in the Flash, and it's a nice send off. That's a way to have a nice surprise for the audience. But I think it's too much trouble to go through that. Do you think Guillermo del Toro would have done a better job as a Hobbit? As a Hobbit of the Hobbit. I don't know. I like Del Toro's work, but he seems to get too much on his plate all the time. Like he's got a million projects in the works all the time. I saw a few clips about the Angry Joe's rant on Twitter. I don't know if it was a Twitter post you're talking about or his video, but I saw a few clips of the video. But that kind of stuff I don't really take the time to watch, to be honest with you. Like from the reactions I heard, it's pretty much that says it all. I don't need to watch it for 20 minutes. And they're simply course correcting the overall story of that universe. It just wouldn't be the Snyderverse. I think it'll get a send off. I think the Flash film for general audiences is a good excuse for them to make it look like it's organically ending the previous movies and starting a new DC arc. I think that's what they're going to use the Flash for. And I think that's why Gunn and Safran had to get their plan in fast. And I bet, and I really think that Gunn probably had like 2 plans, maybe 3. And here's one with the existing actors. Here's one with what I would really like to do, and here's a backup plan. And maybe Gunn didn't think Zaslav and the board would say, yeah, let's go with yours, but I guess money talks, and those actors do cost a lot of money to come back. So
I do think that's something that a lot of people fail to remember is how much it costs over time to get these actors to come back. So
it's not all just James Gunn's doing,
Yeah.
Like he presented a package, probably more than one, like I was saying, and to the board and to Zaslav, and then they had to choose probably which one they wanted to do. And then I think a lot of the deciding factor was the monetary value, but also the baggage, like that THR article said, the baggage that came with the pre-existing movies. It's easier just to start fresh, which fans have been calling for a while now, to be honest with you.
You're right. You're right. A lot of people have been asking for it. There's been, I think people are upset to an extent because they want there to be more with these actors, but maybe just with a better plan. But that doesn't, the new agreements the actors are never going to take less.
No.
That's just not going to happen. And I think that's something that a lot of people need to remember. It's like, these are actors that have their managers, they have their agents, they have their publicists, they have their entire entourage. People get paid. Like when you're a talent like this, you might hear someone gets like $20 million, but then how much of that is segmented out to the people who get a percentage?
Yeah.
So it's like, and what you're asking for is for an actor to come in and do a movie like this. Like Justice League took 6 months to film, and that's a long time. That's 6 months out of their life. And you want them to go do this multiple times every other year. I mean, there's going to have to be a massive financial incentive for that to happen. And with the shifting of the tides in regards to, let's say, where we are maybe with the, like how studios pay, right? Like beforehand with the home video market, they had enough money to kind of warrant these experimental films. Now it's a little different. And so they pay percentages. But Netflix and these other streamers will pay up front.
Yeah.
So it ends up being this completely different scenario.
And especially with you don't know if it's going to have a full theatrical release or how long it's going to take to get to digital. Because before, the back points, the end points, the backdoor deals would make a lot of money for the actors and actresses.
Yeah.
But look what happened to Scarlett Johansson. right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, she's absolutely going to be. That was a whole thing, and Bob Chapek really effed that up.
mm-hmm.
And one thing I still don't know about is how much money Jungle Cruise made on premium video on demand. That's never been talked about. I've never heard that particular metric being put out there, which would be really fascinating to know how much it did. Because that was also on Disney Plus for $30 a pop a few weeks after Black Widow.
Which was, sorry?
The Jungle Cruise, The Rock.
Yeah, I didn't. I paid for Black Widow. Like, I watched it from home. I spent the $30. It was worth it.
It was worth it. See, I saw it in theaters when it came out. I paid the money to go see it in theaters, and I had a lot of fun with it. I actually really, really enjoyed Black Widow.
Yeah.
I like the story. I like the way that they handled it. I really love David Harbour. Florence Pugh had never really seen her in anything before, and oh man, yeah, Yelena Belova, man, who me likey.
Ray Winstone was great. His Russian accent was great.
Oh yeah, Ray Winstone's underrated in my opinion. I like Ray Winstone.
We have this ongoing joke where like Edward is really particular about accents on small screen, so he always like busts up Ray Winstone for doing that Russian accent, and I'm always like, Ray Winstone is an international treasure. Don't you dare.
I mean, like, I love trying out accents on people like in real life to see how they respond. Because most people don't know the difference. I mean, if you live in the culture, you're going to get it. But, like one time I went to, like I was like trying to flirt with some girl at like a freaking fast food joint in the mall or whatever. And, I roll up and I'm like, I'm just going to try something a little different. So I was like, I tried a British accent and she was all like, oh, wow, your accent is so great. Where are you from? And I'm like, I've been here for a little while. I like it, it's not bad. And then I had to show her my ID because I used my card and my ID said Lakeside, California. And I was like, I've only been here for a little bit. Like, I have a California ID. I'm clearly lying to you. Ryan here for 5. Thanks, Ryan. Says, how do you think Warhammer will be received now that Henry Cavill is at the helm? Great segue. Thank you. Thank you for that, Ryan. We can talk about that because there is the press release put out today by Games Workshop themselves. So this is where it's more official when Games Workshop is coming out and they're like, it's fucking happening. So anyway, so they would say here's one heck of a surprise gift for all Warhammer fans. It's not even Christmas yet. Games Workshop and Amazon Studios are working together to bring the Warhammer 40,000 universe to screens, big and small alike. So that's fascinating. But notice there's a little asterisk there. You see the little asterisks?
Yeah.
That's I just want to see what that means real quick. There we go. Might be time to invest in a bigger TV. Okay. I will the cheekiness of that. I didn't know about that. I just saw the asterisk, so I just wanted to know what it was before going forward. But I give props to the cheeky humor. This is a very British property, so it makes a lot of sense. All right, so it says here that Amazon Studios today announced that it has secured global rights to Warhammer 40,000 based on the immensely popular intellectual property from Games Workshop that has given rise to an immersive global hobby, Warhammer. The agreement encompasses rights to the universe across series, film, and more, and will sit alongside Games Workshop's activities as they continue to make the best miniatures in the world. This is the first deal of its kind for Amazon Studios for an IP of this scale, and it allows the company to utilize the title across its entertainment businesses, which basically means like games and probably audiobooks because they have Audible and obviously Amazon. So this is a big deal for Amazon, like massive for them. Henry Cavill, Man of Steel, Mission Impossible Fallout, is set to star and executive produce in the Warhammer 40,000 franchise across all Amazon Studio productions. That is pretty massive. That's pretty crazy. And I think that's actually like, I think that's what he's wanted. Don't you think, James? Like, that's what he's wanted, especially coming off of The Witcher.
Oh yeah. That's a smart move to have executive producer and, to have his fingers in all the pies of the production is great.
Oh yeah. Well, considering that he was absolutely, not happy according to rumors with The Witcher. But there's been some counter reporting to that. I don't know if you've heard that, where there was a counter report that came out that claimed that Henry Cavill was the problem. which is fascinating. I don't know how true that is, but there's that. All right. So since launching nearly 40 years ago, the Warhammer universe has been constantly expanding through miniatures, source books, tabletop games, animations, novels, and a wealth of licensed material and video games. So here we go. We just, you know what it is. We all know what it is. Warhammer 40K has captured the imagination of fans of all ages, from all walks of life and all over the world, said Jennifer Salk, the head of Amazon and MGM Studios. We are excited to work with Henry, Vertigo Entertainment, and Games Workshops across our Amazon Entertainment businesses on this brilliant, immersive franchise for our global customers to experience for years to come. Now, the thing with that, though, is like, one of the things that Bezos was rumored to have wanted was something, equivalent to Game of Thrones, right? Which is why we got Lord of the Rings. But he's also a massive sci-fi fan. And remember, he saved The Expanse and brought that over to finish up its run. And now that The Expanse is gone, they've got The Boys for comic book stuff. They've got Invincible for comic book stuff. They got Lord of the Rings for fantasy stuff. They just got rid of Carnival Row. I know the new season's going to drop here pretty soon. The final season is going to drop. But they've got Reacher, for those kind of older boomer fans. Same with Terminal
And the
List.
demographics on Reacher really surprised me.
They did. That shit's insane. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah. But it works. But it speaks to that growing demographic of new cord cutters. And I think that's the thing a lot of people don't realize is that, like, as I've been a cord cutter now for well over since 2010. So 12 years I've been a cord cutter, almost 13 years.
15 years, 17 years for me, something like that.
And the only reason why it took me until 2010 was because that's when I moved out and I moved to LA. So that was my own choice, and we've been like that ever since. Yeah. And I have no desire to ever go back to television. To linear television to me is just fucking kill me. I don't want it. So the thing I find to be most interesting is that, when you've got this new demographic of older individuals that are realizing the rising cost of cable isn't worth it. Like I got an email today from Comcast and they're like, "Oh, we're raising your monthly internet fees to combat the rising cost of licensed material." Huh. And I'm like, I don't fucking use television.
One thing shouldn't have to do with the other.
Exactly. I just get the fucking internet. Like, and as soon as something else comes available, I'm ditching you, Comcast, at the earliest fucking convenient. Like, if we get fiber internet out here, CenturyLink is kind of out here too, but it's like, they're not as good. That's all DSL, which I don't want and I can't use. But I'm just like, I don't want there to be one. Give me options, because as soon as that option comes available, fuck you, I'm out. Even T-Mobile is trying to offer 5G home internet.
Yeah.
But I live in an area where we don't get a lot of 5G. But if I was in a 5G hotspot, it would cost me $50 a month for 5G unlimited through T-Mobile. And like that's again where we're going, like Starlink type stuff. That's what's going to be the future as these telecom companies start to kind of branch away from the hardline cable, because what you have also is like rural areas are harder. Like the Build Back Better bill that just passed recently, they're going to set aside like, I think $100 billion for a network infrastructure, or, so that's going to be good to help kind of get broadband out to more rural locations and things along those lines.
My question about this is how much of that $1 billion budget that they put towards series and movies, Amazon announced last month, how much is Warhammer going to eat up, or is that going to have a separate budget? I
think it's going to be a lot. But it all depends on the filmmaking process of it. So if they use something like the volume or some kind of stagecraft technology, which I believe that they will, that might help in regards to cutting down some of those costs in regards to building sets. But at the same time, if they really plot out like a 4 or 5 year plan, they're gonna invest all the money up front, and then they'll be able to write off the costs as time goes on. So there's that. But let's go from there. What the Build Back Better bill never passed into law? I thought, which one went through? Oh no, I'm thinking of the infrastructure bill. My bad. It was the infrastructure bill, not the Build Back Better. My bad. But still, $100 billion went to network. It was just it was the infrastructure package. I got that wrong. Thank you for correcting me. Appreciate that. All right, so Henry here says, I loved Warhammer ever since I was a boy, making this moment truly special for me. The opportunity to shepherd the cinematic universe from its inception is quite the honor and responsibility. I couldn't be more grateful for all the hard work put in by Vertigo, Amazon, and Games Workshop to make this happen. One step closer to making a nigh-on lifelong dream come true. And this is, I mean, we've known about this for quite some time, right? We've known that Cavill has been very much into Warhammer, and this is a big thing. And people have been really kind of wondering what's going on. Now, this is what I found to be the most interesting. Vertigo Entertainment's Roy Lee and Natalie Viscuso, who worked on Barbarian, the Lego franchise, It Films, and The Departed, will partner with Henry Cavill early on to secure the coveted IP and deliver it to Amazon Studios. Vertigo will executive produce with Cavill and Games Workshop's Andy Simile and Max Bottrill alongside Amazon. So basically, James, I'm sure you'll agree, is, Henry probably was like, hey, listen, this Witcher thing isn't working out. The Superman thing maybe isn't working out. Let's see what we can maybe do with this. And so they packaged a deal with Games Workshop, of which he has a relationship with, and they took it through Vertigo, and they ran it to Amazon, and they worked the deal, right? But Henry Cavill, in the smartest move he could have made, is securing that executive VP, Kevin Feige-esque producer.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's
he had
great.
enough with the headaches on The Witcher, and I guess with the Snyderverse too.
I completely understand. Yeah, he wasn't happy. I mean, there's the report that he wasn't happy about the way that Zack had wanted a Superman to go. He wanted the more Boy Scout Superman. But again, though, there's also I do want to get back to this particular passage, but Henry Cavill's numerous projects on the horizon include Matthew Vaughn's globetrotting spy thriller Argylle, the highly anticipated reboot of Highlander, Guy Ritchie's The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and season 3 of The Witcher. And he's represented by Warner, or by who is this? William Morris, right?
Yep.
So what does that tell you? He's no longer with Danny Garcia.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, did he switch agencies?
Well, they haven't talked about that. Now, Danny Garcia was his agent, or was she his, manager. I don't know which one it is, right? I think Danny, let's see, Garcia, Henry Cavill.
Can you bring up the red comment / comment?
Yes. All right. Where is that? Okay.
This is a good point. This is kind of what you were talking about, Matt. I'm just looking at Vertigo Entertainment here, and when they started it, they had a first look deal with Dimension, and then they went to Universal Pictures, and then from 2010, they had a first look deal with Warner Brothers, and then 2013 Touchstone, and then 2015 they expanded their partnership with Warner Brothers to include 2-year exclusive deal for drama and comedy series. And then they went to Sony, and then they went to Lionsgate 2 years ago. So it does seem like a lot of people are not wanting to have to deal with the mess of Warner Brothers, because it has been a mess for a bunch of years.
It has. So just to quickly confirm, Danny Garcia is his manager, not his agent. And he is repped through WME. So, okay. I thought she was his agent, but I guess we were wrong. She's his manager. But again, that shows to show you the comment I made earlier. It's like these actors have so many mouths to feed that are part of the machine. You have the agent, the manager, the publicist, all that kind of shit, right? So she's his manager.
Yeah.
And so, he definitely needs to fucking fire her ass. That's for true. My opinion, at least.
Well, I think if it's true that he was a pawn for The Rock, they're not a happy trio right now,
Yeah. So, there's definitely that. But the thing is, going back to the other thing I want to talk about here, the Vertigo Entertainment bit, right? So the reason why I find that to be the most fascinating has a lot to do with the name Natalie Viscuso, because you know who she is, right?
No.
So this is Natalie right here. This happens to be Henry Cavill's girlfriend.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So Henry Cavill's girlfriend, just back in May of this year, and I don't want to diminish her accomplishments to just being Henry Cavill's girlfriend. I just make that abundantly clear. She has had her own very interesting career that has sought her just as of May to be tapped to oversee television for Roy Lee's Vertigo Entertainment. She's vice president over there. And she was over at Legendary for a while and then made her way over to Vertigo. And lo and behold, Vertigo worked a deal with Amazon with Henry Cavill to do Warhammer.
It's
So
smart.
it's smart, but it's super cronyistic, man. It's super
Well, no,
cronyistic.
I think it's it's the old adage, who you know and who can get you the best deal, right?
Yeah.
So
no, Rodney, I'm not saying that Henry only got this gig because of his girlfriend. Not at all. I'm saying that it was definitely something that found a way to work together. They found they found a right. She's in a position where they can acquire properties and take them to other streaming services in order to get them to greenlight it. That's pretty much what happens here. There's a reason why Warner Brothers owns The Big Bang Theory, but it was on CBS. There's a reason why, these shows get put everywhere, but they're owned by, like Sony Pictures Television. They own The Boys. They own Invincible. They own fucking Breaking Bad. Because they produce it and they just license it out to these other companies. So that's what it was. I think it was a great situation. Try to make it work here. Now, Command Unit says for $2, thank you, buddy. Henry most likely got her into 40K to some degree. Most likely. That's probably a thing here. HBart says if they break up, the show is canceled. LOL. But Enterprising here says Cavill needs to put a ring on it. No, I don't think there's that, to be honest with you. I just feel to me, it's really fascinating that you can see these relationships play out and you can easily kind of see how things went. And that's,
that's how Hollywood always been. And that's how business is.
Yeah. It's always like that. And again, I'm not criticizing it in the negative.
No, not at all. No, it's I like tracing those paths, that's what I do. That's what intrigues me. So,
yeah. Well, the reason why I think it's fascinating is just because it's like without this relationship, this particular agreement wouldn't happen.
Right. He probably wouldn't have got executive producer, maybe.
No, I mean, he's the star talent to come in behind it, right? That was the package deal. The package deal was just, we need a star who's got name recognition, who can find a way to really work with the fans. And those fans who may not know about Warhammer will probably know about Superman, and they'll probably know about The Witcher. And he's really popular in those circles. And he's a huge gamer. And so that's just, again, it's just checking all of these insane boxes to all kind of come together. And Amazon probably was like, all right, yeah, we can make this deal work. So let's absolutely do this. Now Benson here is still running on this. Says, we lost James for a second. Says Cavill is also personal friends with Wilson and the Broccoli families who own Bond. Yes, because he did audition for James Bond back in 2006, was up against Daniel Craig, lost out to Daniel Craig. And yes, there has been talks about him potentially coming back as Bond. I've seen the rumors as well. You say it all the time, but you've been told me today that you think Luke Evans could be a potential for that. Again, I disagree. Luke Evans, he's, how old is he? He's 43. They want someone 10 years younger. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where they are with this stuff now. That's my take on it, at least. What do you think about James Bond? Henry Cavill is James Bond. Do you think that could be a thing?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it seems like they passed.
I mean, it would be great. He was great in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Again, he's got that swagger. He's got the moxie for it. But the producers want a younger Bond. They say that last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they were looking at the guy from Bridgerton. They were looking at that guy. We did a video on it at Small Screen, so go check it out later.
Oh, Roger John Page, whatever his name is. Roger.
Let me look it up here.
I
don't think Cavill will be Bond. It would cost them too much,
Yeah, and he just got this deal. He just got this deal for Warhammer. Like, why would he's not gonna fuck with that shit? You know what I mean? He's like, I got to go and be the arbiter of this. I got to go create all this stuff. He's like, I don't want to go play in anyone else's sandbox. This is where he is. But also here, Jack here says Henry is getting too old for Bond. Careful, they'll write a TMZ article about you, buddy.
Jonathan Bailey.
Bailey. I'm
I'll
not
send
too
you the
sure.
link.
Yeah, Jonathan B. Okay, let's see here. I mean, he's 34.
Play the first half, 30 seconds.
Okay. Of what?
The video.
What video?
I just sent it to you on Discord.
Oh, God damn it. I gotta fucking open it up now, do all the shit. All right, fine. Play the first 30 seconds of your video.
I think Plum edited this one, actually.
Okay. Hold on, I'm trying to get. Yeah, I hate the autoplay. I really wish it didn't autoplay. I know that sounds weird.
Firefox blocks autoplay.
Yeah, Chrome doesn't. Firefox doesn't work with Chrome, and you have to use or it doesn't work with StreamYard because you have to use Chrome with it. Yes, Chrome only, folks. I know it's terrible. It's terrible. So
this is an old video too.
This is for when was this? 6 months ago, but you got 4,000 views. All right, let's see here. You said the first 30 seconds.
Just play whatever. I don't care.
Oh, okay. Oh, you don't care. Oh, now you don't play.
No, I'm not gonna force you to watch the whole video.
Greetings, agents. Welcome back to Small Screen. There are a number of actors who are being tied to the Bond role, and there seems to be a new contender in the mix.
Yeah, baby!
We're going to get to the point pretty fast in this video, because if you've been here before, you know we don't pad these videos out for the YouTube algorithms. If you like that about us, please like, subscribe, and quack that notification bell. Now grab a drink and sit back while we go through the details.
Vodka martini. Shaken, not stirred.
We've been hearing someone new has been named as a runner-up to take over the titular role of James Bond. There's been many actors rumored and wanted by fans to take over the Bond role after Daniel Craig left the franchise, such as Richard Madden, Sam Heughan, Henry Cavill, Tom Hardy, and Idris Elba. However, according to a source close to the situation, Jonathan Bailey, currently starring in Bridgerton, is now being eyed for the role. The more you think about it, the more it makes sense, as Bridgerton Season 2 has been performing incredibly well on Netflix.
Indeed.
And Jonathan Bailey has been getting many people's hearts racing with his performance as Anthony Bridgerton in the show. Jonathan Bailey was also in the first season, but people's attention seemed to be mostly glued to his co-star, Regé-Jean Page.
My word.
So you may ask yourself, who is looking at Jonathan Bailey and what are some of the qualifications they see in him?
Come now, it is not proper to stare.
Well, our sources told us that the Bond producers have been taking a close look at the Bridgerton's Jonathan Bailey for the role, and that the producers have been impressed by his acting ability, both on stage and on the screen. They added that they feel he has all the necessary skills to bring Bond to life for a new generation of viewers. The 33-year-old British actor is the right age for the role and has already shown talent on the small screen. Not this small screen, although he is more than welcome to come in for an interview. Just send us a DM, Jonathan.
Right.
Now you may ask yourself, but small screen, does he have the experience to take on such a major franchise as Bond? Well, we're glad you asked. Before landing himself a role in the Sean Deland-produced Netflix series, Bailey was mostly known for his work on stage. He was a West End regular and started his career as a child actor.
Okay. So, yeah. I mean, well, no, it's a good video. It's a good video. It's just,
Oh, I tuned out at the same time. Don't worry. As long as we get to the 2 minutes and the 3-minute video, I'm happy.
As long as you get to 30 seconds, all things considered, with this kind of with these short videos, yeah, it's good. No, it was well put together. I mean, there's good points there. Obviously, if he's done well in regards to, let's say, I haven't seen Bridgerton, so I don't know.
Yeah, right.
All I know is it's a horny show. That's my understanding, is that it's a horny show. Oh, speaking of horny, fun thing happened to me today.
Okay, I'm out.
No, I was saying one of my online friends was getting into it with some online Karen, right?
Yeah.
And I clicked on the profile and I'm like, wait a minute, I recognize that name. And I clicked on it and I was like, oh, it's this one actress I've seen in certain websites. And so I just responded, said, oh, hey, I know her from Pornhub.
Ah.
And then she responds by going like, yeah, I guess I'm pretty famous. And then I was like, you'd be more famous if you told your husband to stop spamming clickbait videos. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I was just laughing because I'm like, I'm actually having this conversation on Twitter this morning, like I'm communicating with an adult film star and I'm like criticizing her business model. And I'm like, this must make me look so bad.
Hey, Matt, in that video, did we ever say he auditioned?
No.
So I don't understand. Like, people watch the videos and then like they misunderstand something. Like, you're wrong. He didn't audition. Benson's like.
I mean,
never said
according
the
to the
audition.
video, it said sources close to the production say that they're eyeing Jonathan Bailey. That is what the video said. So yeah,
I can pull up the script and then do a word search just to be sure.
I mean, well, yeah, I've done the word search stuff before about contracts.
Yeah, I remember. That was a good video.
Yeah. James here, James is like he likes to cross his T's and dot his I's. So, if he says something like that, I would be more inclined to believe it versus not. To be fair, and that is just the way that I happen to take that. But all right, where else? Okay, there's some super chats to get to while you look that up because there's some stuff there. You guys been talkative here. All right, let's see here. I'm trying to catch up. All right, okay. Command unit here for $2. Thanks, buddy. Says 40K invented the grimdark tagline. Really, I do love the term grimdark. It is pretty cool. Thank you. And then command unit here also says Henry Cavill's post on Instagram basically confirms the Witcher situation. I haven't read that, but let me take a quick look here.
There is no audition in the script that I have.
Yeah, I didn't hear the word audition.
Yeah, I just pulled up both scripts, both revisions on my hard drive here, and none of them say audition. So, which is weird. I don't get, like, I would love some clarity on this. Why you think that the video said that, Benson's, because I get comments like this on the YouTube channel all the time, and it's like, do I respond? Or so I usually just respond politely, But yeah, I'm done with this conversation. I just needed to know.
Yeah, sure. I get you, man. I get you. I was just looking up here real quick. Henry's Instagram kind of talks about how they have the freedom to be true to the massive scope of Warhammer, which does feel like a dig at The Witcher, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and then Danny Garcia commented saying, "Here's to guiding a cinematic universe and a dream come true." Sorry, I think it's pretty funny. This is just, Taron Egerton or Egerton is like, "Congratulations, Boss Logic, Jason Carr." Lots of people chiming in on this. Hey, get Taron Egerton into this stuff, man. Or give me another fucking Kingsman movie. Where's Kingsman 3 to finish out the Eggsy story?
Yeah. Someone asked in the chat if he would be good for Bond.
Taron Egerton?
Yeah.
I mean, like, look, the thing is, I think it's kind of like Henry Cavill having played Napoleon Solo, right? When you play a very similar character, making that particular jump is something that I think is, I don't want to say problematic, but it comes across as being a little too on the nose, where like, for one, Taron Egerton in both the Kingsman movies, I really enjoy. I thought he was great. And, but he's not, he's not a Bond. It's a take on a Bond, the gentleman's spy genre, but it's not the same. And then Henry Cavill as Napoleon Solo was fantastic. Such an amazing movie. I love that goddamn movie. But for that was also very much heavily brought on by the chemistry between him and Armie Hammer, So, like, there's elements of that. Like, would he work as Bond? I mean, Bond does have, a cavalcade of characters that he uses, but it's like, would they all intermix well with him? Is all I'm trying to say.
No, I agree.
But either way, I mean, I think someone new that we don't really know of would be good. Because Daniel Craig was kind of, I don't want to say unknown, but he was smaller in 2006. He hadn't really, like, there'd been a couple things, right? Like, he was in Tomb Raider in 2001. He was in Munich in 2005, which I still think he has one of the best lines in that movie. Did you ever watch Munich?
Yeah, but once every 2 years.
Okay, so you remember the part when he's like, in his Australian accent, the only blood that matters is Jewish blood. I just like the way he delivered that line. It's just like, it's not a laughing moment, by the way.
No.
It's just the way he says it.
The delivery, yeah.
The delivery of it. But it's so funny because, like, Eric Bana is Australian and Daniel Craig is fucking British. So but man, I love Munich. Syrian Hins is great in that movie. The whole thing is fantastic.
Spielberg, man.
Spielberg, I know he fucking nailed it, man. I'll tell you this though, like people always go like, one of my friends hates Munich and he hates it for the most irrational reasons. He goes, Steven Spielberg didn't give a fuck about War of the Worlds. So he phoned that movie in so he could race off to go and shoot Munich. And I just kind of looked at him like, what part of like War of the Worlds do you really think was phoned in by Spielberg? I mean, maybe the third act shit in the fucking house with Tim Robbins, but that was also David Koepp's script, which was bad. Not a David Koepp fan, by the way.
I don't think he phoned it in, but you have Tom Cruise in the lead role. He's going to want to have a lot of say in the film.
Yeah, Tom, absolutely. And at that point, he's kind of a director for hire at that point, really. You know what I mean? Like Spielberg, when Spielberg is doing a personal film versus when he's doing a studio movie. And like, it's very difficult as fans of his movies to go like, to kind of like, look in between, because you're like, well, he created the summer blockbuster with Jaws, and you're like, yeah, and Jaws is a fucking goddamn fantastic movie, and then he kept it going. But if you look at, let's say, Close Encounters is not like that great of a film. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but I mean, like, its pacing is really long.
I just rewatched that recently. Yeah.
Does it hold up? Because I haven't watched it in a long time.
Man, it holds up because I hadn't seen it in like 15, 20 years.
Okay. But like, I just remember the pacing being like really long in that movie.
It didn't seem
really
like that
slow
to me on this watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to give it another watch again. I do like the movie quite a bit.
I am trying to remember if I watched it. I did watch it in one sitting too. So
okay. It is a little on the long side, but it is still like, doon, 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 doon. I mean, there's so many fucking iconic moments of that movie. And it's like, even then I was, just recently I saw Jaws in IMAX because I had the 40th or 45th anniversary of it. And I went to go see it with a buddy of mine, and I loved it all the way through. But I noticed in the very final climax of the movie, it went on for like an extra like 5 or 7 minutes. You could have trimmed that out, because it was really just a lot of back and forth with the shark, and it was really cool. And the John Williams score was excellent. And it really kind of worked for the scenes, but you start kind of feeling it towards the end, And so that, but like not every film is perfect. Like no film is 100% perfect. But Spielberg, like the point I'm trying to make is you look at something
everyone says Jaws is like a super fantastic film, and I think it's good, but I'm not like head over heels over it.
There's a lot. I
remember watching it as a kid. I'm like, well, it's a lot of talking on the beach,
Yeah.
But
I see, but I like that though. When
watching it as an adult, it's a different story, and then you have that amazing shot on the boat, the camera stationary, and
yeah. Well, what I also love too is like, I think my favorite part of the movie, as weird as it is to say, is when you've got Brody on the little ferry with the mayor and the other towns, the council guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and they're pressing him to just like the small town politics. I was like, yeah, more of this. I don't know why, but I like the small town politics side of things. Like, let's do it, And I still really enjoy the movie. But then you look at like, Hook. A lot of people like the shit on Hook. I love that fucking movie.
It's a great film.
But it like, then you go Jurassic Park, and that's one of the best films ever made. And those movies were able to combine, especially Jurassic Park, like, corporatism with creativity at a time.
I did a whole video on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's about like the 70s was like the director driven era. And then after Heaven's Gate, bankrupt United Artists, they were like, okay, that's not going to happen again. And then the 80s was all about these auteur directors and rising independent directors learning to work with the corporate system in Hollywood, right? And that's how we got like Gremlins and Goonies and all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff, man. That stuff's fantastic. Like, I can't show Gremlins to my kids just yet, but one day I absolutely will. We were watching Alita Battle Angel the other night, and my daughter was kind of getting a little like, I'm like, sports are a little intense. It's not too bad, but I try to like, be a little more careful with them.
I haven't seen that yet, eh?
You haven't seen Alita?
No, it's when it came out, I was like, man, I've waited so long for a Robert Rodriguez movie. I don't want to watch a Robert Rodriguez CG movie yet.
No, it's good. It's on Hulu. You should check it out.
I know. I heard it's great, and it's on my list to watch. It's just, yeah, me and Rodriguez have a weird relationship. So,
what's your take on I think we may have mentioned this before, but Planet Terror. How did you like Planet Terror?
Yeah, we did. We talked about this, I think,
A
a
couple
week or
times
two
ago.
ago. Yeah. Um, I like Planet Terror, but I like Death Proof better. And again, it's kind of like and I get it's supposed to be Grindhouse and stuff, but um, Rodriguez got to a point where it was more about the technology than the story. And that sort of disappointed me, like El Mariachi, Desperado. Those are great stories, and he had to come up with creative elements because he didn't have the money to throw at the problems,
Yeah.
And he always said, don't spray the money hose. But as he got richer and more into technology, kind of like George Lucas did with the prequels, that don't spray the money hose kind of thing went away, and you can see that. So I like Death Proof better than Planet Terror. Planet Terror was fun, and I like a lot of the indie tricks he put in to the filmmaking, but it just seemed like, yeah, I don't know. And then when I saw that episode he directed, The Mandalorian, the reveal of Boba Fett,
Yeah.
that was fantastic. I thought, okay, he's come home, he's back to his roots. This is great. I can't wait. And then when they said he was helming the Book of Boba Fett, I'm like, yes, this is gonna be awesome. And I watched it, and I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, I think there was too many cooks in the kitchen on that one, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. No, I agree. Even the actors said the same thing. So.
Yeah. Tamara Morrison the other day was like, we need to get Boba back to being a badass. I'm like, yeah, man. Fucking give me Book of Boba Fett season 2 where he's just fucking people up, dude. That's what I want. All right. So let us keep going here.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be a Black Adam sequel?
No. No, I don't.
It's done, eh? That's sad. He's
done.
got to be so mad.
I look. The thing is, if there is going to be a Black Adam sequel, it's going to be predicated on whether or not there is going to be more, because he's going to have to play ball, which means he's going to have to do cameos. He's going to have to show on up to these things, and I don't think he wants to do that.
Well, no,
there was,
especially from what I heard. It's just a rumor, and again, I can't remember where I heard this. It was just online somewhere that he wanted Black Adam to thread throughout the overarching story of all the movies, and James Gunn wanted Amanda Waller to be that thread, and that's where they were butting heads.
I haven't heard that specifically, but that would make some sense considering that, the Suicide Squad and everything else. But I mean, there was a report.
She appears at the end of Black Adam.
Yeah, but there
I
was
heard that a week or two ago, a couple weeks ago.
I haven't heard that myself, but again, I wouldn't put it past me, because it's like he has all this power over this movie, and then now it's like you're getting into the studio side of it during a reorg, and it ends up just being crazy. But what I was hearing today was that he refused to do a cameo in Shazam 2. And it's like, dude, you produced these fucking movies, man. Like Shazam and Black Adam are he's just Black Shazam. that how it should have ended video on Black Adam was really funny.
Yeah, I just watched that last
because they just kept calling him Black Shazam. Like, that's what you are. And there's nothing
that was
wrong
smart
with that.
how they used it for Batman to trick him into turning human.
Yeah,
I thought that was brilliant.
that was really good. That was very good. That was a very smartly written little episode. I enjoyed that immensely. I would watch it on here, but man, they copyright the fuck out of that. They really do. So yeah, it's just like the character, they didn't set anything up with Black Adam to make you go, I want more of this. In regards to like any kind of future outing or the possible Henry Cavill Black Adam, blowout. Like, but that's not story. That's spectacle. You have to give me something. Do you have to give me something to hold on to? Like, look, say what you will about how James Cameron approached Avatar 2. I was invested into that story by the end. I was really, really curious to see where things go with these characters. What's going to happen next? Because it made it a very personal film. And it made it about the characters and set up a story, whether you think that it's a simple story or whatever, because it is largely predictable, but you can still find value in the experience. And that was my biggest thing with Black Adam, is just like, for being, it felt like a comic book movie out of time. Like it would have existed in like the mid 2000s.
Really? Eh?
Yeah. Cause it's like, it felt like a movie that, like, think of it like, back in the day when it's just, we got these one-offs like Daredevil, in 2003. And then they did that shitty ass Elektra spinoff, which is just why. Why would
Spirit.
you do that? The Spirit. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, I will say, look, The Spirit was not the greatest movie ever, but I really enjoyed the costume design of that movie.
Yeah.
And I thought for the visual aesthetics for shooting it entirely green screen was actually pretty decent. And,
Yeah, he went to school for Sin City and then he went and made The Spirit.
yeah. And you know what? And I respect that. I respect that quite a bit, actually, because I do really enjoy Sin City, although I've never seen the second one.
Yeah, it's not as good as the first, but the first one's great. Like, I
Yeah,
was really hyped for that. And I've watched all the special features and behind the scenes, and yeah.
Oh yeah, I have the extended cut of it. Like I've
Yeah.
got the unrated. My parents got me that 4-disc set for Christmas
Yeah.
that had like the theatrical and the unrated and the behind the scenes and like the graphic novel and stuff. And yeah, those are the kind of.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying those are the kind of comic book adaptations that would do very well, I think, on Amazon.
Yeah, yeah. It was funny in film school. It's like they gave you an assignment, write a treatment for a feature film if you had unlimited budget and what you'd want to do. So I picked a film noir detective story in the vein of Sin City, right? This is before it came out. It's like we can shoot on green screen and it'll look just like the comic book, and everyone's like, no, that's impossible. You're not going to be able to do that. And then years later, Sin City came out.
I mean, I remember going to see Sin City, the midnight show in April of 2005 when that came out. I remember that came out early April 2005. My friend and I caught the midnight show. We walked out going, holy fuck. We were just impressed. Like the whole Marv storyline was great. I mean, just like the way that it came together. Because at the time I was in film school. I was in my first semester of film school when that came out. So to like a film school nerd at that time, you're looking at this movie that is shot entirely digital and it's shot on a green screen and they're just doing all visual effects.
Right.
So at that moment, it's like, it is one of the most mind-blowingly cool things you can see because it seems like something you can do at home. It doesn't feel like a massive studio movie. I mean, it ultimately was, but it didn't feel that way. It's kind of like I love the Crank movies.
Oh,
especially
great.
Crank 1, because Crank 1 was shot on GL1s. Mini DV. It was like GL1s or GL2s, or maybe it was XL1s. I think it was GL1s or GL2s. I want to say
GL1s. It was XL1S they shot it on.
I thought that was a sequel, but I thought they did GL. Anyway,
Maybe.
either way, prosumer mini DV Canon fucking camcorders.
Yeah.
But back when that came out in 2006, man, I was in my second year of film school and we were shooting everything on GL1s, GL2s, and XL1s.
Yeah, you were lucky.
Like, yeah.
Well,
right?
I got to shoot we had a small class, 22 people, and top 2 people got to shoot their short film on 16 mil, and I was lucky enough to get one of those slots. And then the other 4 were like Sony PDX 100s.
I never played with any of those.
No, they were just like it was like the first generation of them, right? They weren't that good. The CCD chips would get burnt out if you put it towards the sun.
Oh yeah, I remember all that.
Yeah.
Don't point it at the sun. You're gonna kill the fucking camera.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I miss those days, James. I miss those days. I really do miss those days. It's like, it felt so goddamn experimental, and it's weird because even going back 10 years prior, mid 90s, and shooting things on 16 mil or, look at how Blair Witch
Super 8 VHS and Super 8, like doing stop animation and.
Yeah, it all felt so experimental. I guess every generation has their experimental phase. Nowadays, everything's being done. The experimental side of it's being done just with visual.
Yeah.
On you can shoot green screen and then just build it all on a computer, and everything else. And it's still really intriguing to me to watch this kind of stuff. But it's like, I think one of the reasons why I'm so drawn to like the point of view found footage genre is because that even with all the spectacle that we have these days, that to me still comes across as one of the most visceral approaches to like filmmaking.
I'm sorry. Sean just said Jesus had a beard. That's from the short film that I shot on 16 mil. It was called Sideburns.
Oh,
it's about a guy who burns and his girlfriend dumps him for a guy with big mutton chops. And then they kidnap the guy. Him and his friends kidnap the guy. And then they go and do this big monologue at the end of the film, and the last line is Jesus had a beard before they shave his sideburns off.
Oh God.
I wish I saw the trailer, but that got lost in the MySpace server dump.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had to find a bunch of my old things on MySpace and try to get them up on my channel and stuff. And it's just I think back fondly to those days. I really do. You know, like
Yeah,
when it felt like
same.
it was when it was like, you know, when you graduate and then it's like the studio I was working at and we were just doing a bunch of shit and I would just get brought in on these gigs. Like I'd get
Yeah.
random phone calls like, "Hey, I need a grip to come work on ESPN's The Contender. We're going to Huntington Beach for one day. We're going to be shooting Sugar Ray Leonard. I can pay you $100 and I'll buy you food." Okay.
Right.
You know, or like same guy called me up and go, "Hey, I'm shooting a managerial training video at the Jack in the Box test kitchen. I need you to show up tomorrow. We're going to shoot 2 locations there and at Jack in the Box headquarters." Okay, cool. See you at 7 a.m. Great. Perfect. And then we get to the Jack in the Box headquarters and, for one, they fed us at the Jack in the Box test kitchen. I had an actual VP deliver us food, like take our order, go and like show us
Yeah.
the new stuff and like really go, "Oh, you guys got to try this." And then like really want to get our feedback. Jack in the Box, by the way, is a San Diego run company. They're actually really cool. I've always enjoyed Jack in the Crack, and then after that, we go to their home off. We go to their headquarters, and we're shooting this video in there. And they go, "Hey, listen, we need one of our actors can't make it. We need someone to fit in." I had like at least a nice enough shirt on, and they're like, "All right, you Matt, we need you to sit here and just look intently at what this person is saying." So there's some Jack in the Box training video for managers featuring my dumbass that was just brought in because I was there.
I
You know.
I had some pretty good gigs after film school. Like, the first one I had was my producing teacher got it for me, actually. They were looking for a documentary editor, and it was for this Canadian film called Drop Dead Roses. It starred Brian O'Halloran, Dante from Clerks,
Oh wow.
and Eddie, the winner from Big Brother season 1. I don't know if you remember him or not.
No,
I didn't know
I
anything
never
about
got into
show,
that.
but yeah, same. But he had like one leg. And then I remember seeing the documentary. The producer's like, "Well, maybe we can have like a Canadian Jay and Silent Bob in the film." And you just see the director, her eyes just roll like crazy. And I ended up cutting the trailer for that film, and it was I enjoyed it. I cut it from the actual master of the film, and then, which is hard to do because the audio was all synced and stuff, but I think I did a pretty good job. But there was a trailer for it on YouTube, and man, it just gives the whole movie away, and it's just so generic. And then like, yeah, I got a call one day from a family friend saying, "Hey, I heard you're in the film. I need someone." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And then I was like, that led to me being head of media for the Arnold World Games in 2001.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so I got to cut all that footage and do all the graphic design, and the company that owned it, they had the rights to the Bruce Lee Museum. So I got to they made me the curator of the Bruce Lee Museum from when we went to Columbus to the Martial Arts Convention in Clearwater, Florida. And he had the jumpsuit that he wore in Game of Death. We had the gloves he fought Bolo in and Enter the Dragon. I actually got to try them on. I got to meet a bunch of his students, and I got to meet a bunch of people that trained Bruce Lee. It was really cool. I was like 21 at the time. So, and the pay was crap, but I mean, it looks great on a resume, right?
Oh yeah. Well, the pay was always crap.
Yeah.
You know,
And
the pay was always
even
crap.
when I taught editing at Toronto Film School, the pay was crap. Then like that for like next 15 years after that, it was like Kane and Kung Fu, just going from like city to city, helping clients build their businesses and brand, and be like, "Okay, you're good to go. You got everything. All right." And then I would go on and move to the next gig. So then I sit down roots.
Yeah. I mean, but that's a lot of it though. That's a lot of the, a lot of the entertainment industry model is just go where the gig is, and I think a lot of
Same
people
with the
like,
animation too.
yeah. There's a lot there for that. But all right, there is super chats that have come in. We got to get to those. And then is your buddy Sean coming on or what's
No, he couldn't get his stuff to work.
That's all right, man. I understand. But that sucks because StreamYard's been a little bit funky today, to be fair.
Next time. Yeah.
Next time we'll get you on here, man. 100%. All right, here. So moving on, just make sure I'm caught up to where we are. Gayliot here says, "Hey, non-Kino here. Always nice to see Jamie on here." You got a fan. You got a fan, James. You got a fan.
Oh, yeah,
So,
that's
That's the
non-Kino. Hey,
non-Kino.
non-Kino.
Yeah. You know him.
Sorry, I was just messaging Edward to see if he wanted to come on. That's
Oh yeah, if Edward, yeah, man, we'll be on for a little while. I love Edward. Command Unit here for 5. Thanks, buddy. Says my hype and happiness is beyond description. I couldn't make it more perfect if I tried. And I'm happy for you, man. I am. Like, that's a good win for a fan like Command Unit here, and all Warhammer fans that like have the right person that loves it as much as they do to be a person behind it. And that,
that'd be like Robert Rodriguez making a Scud the Disposable Assassin movie for me. Yeah.
I'm unfamiliar with that property.
That's Rob Schrab's first independent comic book. And then he teamed up with Dan Harmon and they made La Costa Nostroid. And then Dan Harmon went on to go make Community, and Rob Schrab directed a bunch of episodes and wrote a bunch of episodes. He wrote the D&D episode. And now Rob Schrab is a major writer on Rick and Morty.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I remember
they started in comic books and then they moved to Hollywood together.
Oh, very cool. I you know what I regret? One of the things I truly regret when I was in LA was not going to Channel 101.
Yeah.
Because I heard about it. I knew about it. It was like $5 to get in. And like,
man, you should have, because see that
I should have fucking done that.
Rob Schrab and Dan Harmon.
Yeah,
They made Channel 101.
I watched a bunch of those shorts, like when they would come out and shit. Some of those weird ones are just hysterical. I mean, obviously there's the Rick and Morty pilot that came out of that, but there's a lot of other really interesting pilots that came out of that as well. And it was such an interesting, again, going back to that experimental time where, you know, these guys are dabbling, because back in 2010, when I was in LA, man, everything was web series. Everything was web series, right? It was all just like, we all want this to be a web series project. We want to do it like this or do it like this. And then these guys are just like, okay, so for those of you who don't know Channel 101, what it was a monthly competition, and people were tasked with filming a 5-minute pilot episode for a TV show. Usually the most like disgusting or irreverent or humorous ones were the ones that continued on. If you were voted a winner by the audience, I think it was like the top 3, you would then get the opportunity to then go shoot the next episode of your show for the next week. And Chad Vader came out of that, actually. That was where Chad Vader came from. And I think he lasted like 8 months or something like that. So what it was is the more you did it, like, you know, people would, the community was insane. And it was something I regret not doing that, because I probably would have I really wanted to shoot something for it. I just didn't have anything back then. I had nothing. So, you know.
Well, I definitely would have been there because I used self-published comic books, right? And that's how I found out about Scud. And Scud the Disposable Assassin is Rob Schrab made it to get over a girlfriend that broke up with him. And it's an assassin that you go to a vending machine and you put in your quarters, and then you put a disc in his palm, and then that'll tell the target, the Scud bot, who to kill. And it's crazy. It's kind of like pseudo futuristic, but there's like a lot of aliens in it, and it's just absolutely crazy. I definitely recommend checking it out.
All right, yeah.
And then he made a film called Robot Bastard. I'll send it to you right now in Discord.
All right, there's a video game? I just looked up. There's a video game on the Sega Saturn.
Sega Saturn, yeah. There's a video game.
Wow.
Which I have not played. I wish I did. But yeah, Rob Schrab made this film called Robot Bastard afterwards, and it's just basically like cardboard costumes and paper mache and stuff, and it's just the low-tech filmmaking is great.
Nice. There was almost reminds me of like Doug TenApple doing Sock Baby.
Yeah.
You know, and I actually I found Sock Baby online. You know, I heard about it through the grapevine, and then at Comic-Con, I forget which year, I think it might have been 2008, they had Sock Baby 4. They actually screened it at Comic-Con, and I saw it there. And then a few months later, I was on the red carpet at the Spike Scream Awards that year.
That's where you got that Neil Patrick Harris photo.
That was from the Spike Video Game Awards about a month after that. I was actually just a random snap of Neil Patrick Harris. I thought the image turned out great, especially for an iPhone. It was like an iPhone 3, I think, back then. But anyway, we're on the red carpet at the Spike Scream Awards, and Doug Jones comes walking by, and, you know, everyone's like, Abe Sapien, Hellboy, oh my God. And I just yelled out, Sock Baby rules. And he stops and he comes over and he's all like, "You've seen Sock Baby?" And I was like, "Yeah, I saw it at Comic-Con. I saw the screening of it." And he's like, "Oh my God, no one ever talks about Sock Baby." And that's the thing I learned about these actors, right? Like they're known for their bigger roles, but if you can talk to one of them about something that they did that's a smaller, more personal project, they fucking love it.
Oh, of course.
And you always get the best stories out of the smaller projects.
Yeah.
So it's like that's
years ago I tweeted Kevin Smith. There's an ongoing joke in Scud where it's like they would have the credits at the beginning of the book, but it would be like movie credits.
Yeah.
You know, so like one issue would be directed by Tarantino, one issue would be directed by Sam Peckinpah, you know. And then one would be Oliver Stone. So I tweeted Kevin Smith, was like, would you be happy to see a Scud movie? Do you think it'll ever get made? And he goes, "I'm still waiting for the Oliver Stone rendition." So you know he's a huge fan as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, there's one that one time I was at Comic-Con 03 and he was there promoting Jersey Girl. And I wanted to go up and ask the question, could Jersey Girl kill the Grimace? Which, if you know anything about the Clerks animated series, you know that reference.
Yeah.
Right. And so I couldn't ask the question because he likes to talk. So he ran out of time. And he ended up, I got sent back. I was the last person, even though it would have taken like 2 seconds, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of defeated. And my friend Leighton decided to help me out. So in a moment of silence, we're in Ballroom 20, which is a 4,300 person room. In a moment of silence, like 2/3 of the way back, he just belts out, "Could Jersey Girl kill the Grimace?"
Huh.
And the cameras were on Kevin Smith and he's there and he's cleaning his glasses. And you just kind of like hear the sound, like kind of register with his ears, and he picks up on what it is. And without even breaking beat, he just goes, "Nothing can kill the Grimace." And the great moment, like you see maybe 20 people in the audience jump up and just shout and cheer.
That's
and
awesome.
Every other asshole there had no fucking idea what we were happy about. But I was all like, all these people, we all know the Clerks animated series.
Yeah.
We're the true fucking fans.
Who's driving? Bear's driving.
Bear's driving. How can that be? Oh my God, Tom Cruise, you want the truth? You can handle the truth.
Axel. Leonardo. I mean, Leonardo.
Oh God, I fucking love that. He earned all of his money from his legendary journey to the fabled Canadas, where he traded the debilitating Mataba virus for all their minerals and jewel rights. One of us. Dude, it's 6 episodes of this perfection, man. I just love it. Like Sexy Randall, the Pharaoh King. Nobody calls you that. Well, one guy did.
Oh no, the kid with the helmet. Nice guess.
Nothing can stop the Grimace. That was one of my things. One of my favorite jokes. Probably my favorite in joke in Clerks 3 was the Clerks animated series joke. There was a single reference to it.
I haven't seen Clerks 3 yet.
I'm not going to tell you what it is, but there's one reference to it, and I caught it, and I know other people caught it as well. But as a longtime fan of that movie means a lot to me on a personal level.
See, that's why I haven't watched it yet. Like as soon as I hit digital, I sat down to watch it. And like, I'm not ready to watch this yet. My heart is not ready.
Yeah, it hit me. And here's the thing: when you watch it,
I watch it tonight now, though.
When you watch it tonight, when you get through the end credits, watch through the end credits.
Yeah, right.
Because Kevin actually, like, as I'm watching it in the theater,
don't say anything else.
No, I'm not telling you what it is, but he talks during the end credits.
Okay, so that's good.
It's a very personal message, and I just was like, I'm watching it, I'm just like,
yeah.
And I'm like, I gotta wait, like, oh my God, I'm processing everything. I just, man, fucking,
a lot of it was like Clerks 2 did me in, but also when I started Clerks 3 and it picks up right at the Quickie Mart, and you got the three main guys from Clerks 2, and I'm just like, no, I can't do this yet. It immediately, without dropping a beat, it gets right into the banter and right into the dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not ready for this yet.
It's just dude, like I saw it and I wasn't sure how I was going to take it because I've been a fan ever since 95.
Same.
Or like, no, 97. Because I saw it a couple years late. I was 15 when I got to it. But I mean, that movie, I still remember the first time I saw that movie. I still remember all the impact that like Kevin Smith has had on my life. And I've said this multiple times. He is my personal hero. Flat the fuck out, man. He is my personal hero. I would love nothing more than to sit down and have just a conversation with the guy about everything. I just think he's like, I love his energy, man. Like,
it would be great to have a conversation with him for sure.
Yeah. Like, and H-Bart's here. He's like, maybe Dogma will be available one day. Hopefully, buddy.
I was going to say it's on YouTube.
Oh yeah. Well, I got H-Bart's into watching Clerks. He watched it with his dad, and then he went out and he bought all the other Kevin Smith movies.
Nice.
And he's been complaining, rightfully so, about how he can't get fucking Dogma. And I get that. And I totally understand that. But like, if you can check it out, man, check it out. Also here, the red comment says, the only reason people remember Desmond Pfeiffer, totally classic Pfeiffer. I remember Desmond Pfeiffer. I do remember Desmond Pfeiffer. That was actually a really fucking funny show on UPN back in 96. It was like totally crazy. If you can look it up on YouTube, look it up. But that show is weird. Do you know anything about Desmond Pfeiffer?
No, I'm Canadian. We didn't get UPN.
Right. Okay. So Chi McBride plays Desmond Pfeiffer, who's like a personal aide or liaison. He's like a manservant, kind of, if you will, to Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War.
Abe Lincoln.
Yeah. And they're in the White House, and the show contemporizes where, like, certain elements of society. Like, there's an episode where Abe Lincoln and what's his wife's name? Mary Lincoln.
I'm Canadian.
Right? You just fuck. Anyway, Abe and his wife are having marital problems, and he ends up like getting on the telegraph, and he meets a random woman from like Montana, and they strike up this correspondence, and he goes to meet her at a bar, and you find out that it's his wife. She was the other woman online that was pretending to be the woman from Montana. And the reason why it was so funny, and the reason why I think it's one of the best jokes I've seen on a sitcom in the 90s, was because at the time, AOL chat rooms were a thing. That was like first coming out, right? So they're totally spoofing internet chat rooms and how it's kind of like destroying marriages in this show about the Civil fucking War. It was so irreverent. It was so crazy. It was great. Oh, it was Mary Todd. Thank you, Mary Todd. Let's see. Eric here says, I love Kevin Smith too, Matt. Did you see the tweet I posted about an asshole on the Kevin Smith live show? I did not, man. I did not. Are you talking about the Comic-Con one where the guy like told him his movies suck? Because that clip I know very well. I know very, very, very well. But anyway, that's just, I could talk Kevin Smith for fucking hours, dude. I love him so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the golden era. Like, you had Rodriguez come out with El Mariachi, you had Tarantino come out with Reservoir Dogs, and then you had Desperado, Pulp Fiction, then you had Clerks come out, then you got Mallrats.
Yeah, and you had Dazed and Confused, right? The Linklater stuff, man. There was like, Doug Liman with Go, Nevermind Swingers. There was one called Suburbia that had Giovanni Ribisi. That one I've seen like one time way back in the day. I mean, you had, Reality Bites and
all the Pauly Shore movies.
Oh yeah, I loved all the Pauly Shore movies. I really did. I mean, you'll never be able to convince me that Encino Man, In the Army Now, Son-in-Law, are not all classic comedies. I mean,
I love the Encino Man cameo in Son-in-Law.
Yeah, when he's as the Chiquita Banana Woman.
Yeah, so good.
Or what about when Brendan Fraser pops up in the Army Now, and he's just Private Link?
Oh, I forgot about that.
He's in that one as well. Time. Yeah, I mean, Andy Dick is a fucking psychopath, but I really loved him in the Army Now, as well as David Alan Grier, Lori Petty.
Encino Man Cinematic Universe.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, Encino Man is a fucking classic. It doesn't get talked about enough. I mean,
I watch it once a year. Yeah.
Really? I mean, how are you? I mean, have you? I've always kind of been a Megan Ward fan. I had a thing for her back in the day, like with Encino Man and what was it? PCU, which I still think I still feel like I'm the only asshole that's seen PCU.
What actress are you talking about?
Megan Ward. She was the girl in Encino Man.
Yeah.
Sean asked, yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about Robin Tunney.
Well, No, I mean, like, I've always enjoyed her as well. You know, one of the reasons why I watched The Craft,
Yeah.
you know, back.
No, I've never really been a Megan Ward. Like, I had to look her name up now. She never really hit me, I guess. I'm looking at
Yeah,
movies she's been in.
I've always liked it. You know, let's see here. Kuntz says here, okay, last week on Fat Man Beyond, Kevin was going on and on how he has to deal with this now. It's part of his daily life where these creeps would come out of nowhere and hit him with the He-Man hate. I mean, like, dude, people were so wrong in that He-Man hate. That was so manufactured, man. Like, so manufactured. The He-Man Masters of the Universe Revelations was fucking tight.
I heard
like,
good things about it. And,
It
you're
was
always going to get
metal.
the people online, the angriest are always the loudest. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
That's the way I see it. Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, like, he got picketed for Dogma before anyone even saw it. And he went and joined the protest.
That's exactly something I would do.
Yeah.
Just
same.
to fuck with them and shit. Like, no, that's the thing I love about that, man, dude. Like, his comic runs are really good.
Oh, man. Yeah, the
his,
James Silent Bob books were great.
Oh yeah, the Clerks comics are really solid. You know, and I was waiting for do I remember if there's a reference to the Clerks comics in Clerks 3? I think there might have been, like, maybe one I was trying to infer in my own brain.
Well, the whole movies franchise is from the comics. And then it came into Clerks 2.
Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
remember, like, I mean, like, Clerks, there's one issue of the Clerks comics where, like, they meet Santa Claus. And there's the whole thing about Caitlin Bree being catatonic after fucking the dead guy in Clerks.
I don't.
And
Oh, wait. Yeah.
And
yeah,
so
that's
they
right,
end up, like,
that's right.
I think Jay or maybe it was Randall that references caning her. And it basically fucking her while she's catatonic with a big fat candy cane. And Dante does. And Caitlin wakes up and then she chases him and then she stops and, like, a half melted candy cane, like, falls out from under her dress.
Jesus. Yeah, King of the Golden State says Green Arrow by Kevin Smith was a good read. Yes.
Yeah,
I really-
the Daredevil
I really
one was
enjoyed-
really good too.
I really enjoyed that. I really liked the bleach bottle arrow. That was a nice touch.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot there, man. It's anyway, all right. I know. I'm behind on super chats. I'm sorry, guys. We're just having a fun convo.
Go
It's
ahead.
just, you know, always a good time. I always enjoy talking with James because we can talk about filmmaking and the, kind of get into boomer territory with, like, remember the 90s? That was a fucking time. All right, here.
Things were so much slower back then.
Yeah, we could actually discuss a movie for years because that's all we got.
Yeah.
You went to the multiplex one time every 6 months, but you went every week.
And you had to walk in 4 feet of snow for 3 miles.
If you wanted to bootleg a movie, you had to download it from the dark web. You know, it's just all sorts of shit.
Take you 4 days.
Yeah. Actually, I've got a story about that with The Mummy Returns. It kind of did. Fucking VCDs, man. And
Yeah.
MIRC
Oh, wow.
fucking servers.
You just brought me back.
Way back in the day, man. Everyone, my friends all had their folders full of all their bootleg movies, all the VCDs and shit. And it was just like, what do you want to watch? Let me pull up my fucking folder, you know? And it was just like, and after a while, people would just stop printing out labels. They would just write on what it was.
Right on the CD. Yeah.
You're just like Harry Potter part 1 of 8.
Yeah.
You know,
I got the Matrix. Yeah.
it was just, it was crazy.
Oh man, I just got the Animatrix. I was like, all right,
Oh,
let's watch it. Oh, why is it all pixelated?
Yeah, I bought that shit on fucking DVD when that came out, though. But
Same.
yeah,
That was
man,
so good.
that was like, because I remember we had Final Flight of the Osiris playing in front of. I forget which movie it was playing in front of, when it came out. But man, I watched that thing a bunch. Every night, I was like, I would go to work even on my night off just to watch Final Flight of the Osiris before the movie, and then I would just leave. You know, my boss was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I can't wait for the Matrix, man." And this was also done by the same studio that did Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, which is another movie that I fucking love. So I was all down for more of that back then. You know, but if you go back and look at it now, oof, it aged.
You're talking about which movie?
So the Animatrix had the very first short was the Final Flight of the Osiris.
Oh, right. So
And that was done by Squaresoft or Squaresoft Animation.
Okay, so did you see the second Final Fantasy CG film?
Kingsglaive?
No, it was
Or
Final,
are you talking about Final Fantasy VII Advent Children?
I think so. Let me look
Because
it up.
I've seen Advent Children, and I
Yeah,
had to have
Advent
my friend
Children.
explain it to me because I was like, I don't know what the fuck's happening. But I
Yeah,
do
Advent.
remember though, my friend and I memed it. We just kept going, Denzel. He'll just call me up and go,
That movie was
Denzel.
brilliant, man. Like I saw it like in the final act when all these heroes appear out of nowhere and drop down from the airship, right?
Yeah.
I was just like, that's how you do a Justice League movie. That's how you have to, like, they just need to appear out of nowhere, you know? And like boom, there's the whole team. Everyone knows who they all are.
Yeah.
I sat up on my seat when I saw that when they all jumped down. Like that was a great moment because I didn't expect any of it. No one expected that. It was
Well,
good.
you know what
And-
they say, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
oh, there you go.
The obligatory Monty Python reference is
you.
great. But all right there. So yeah, Gaylead here says also leave Henry Cavill alone. I wish him the best. I'm not attacking him at all. Gaylead here also says trying to get a fight with you and Eric. This would be Eric Weber, who is a total douchebag film critic. And he's out there attacking like Avatar like crazy over, you know. This is a guy, I showed a clip from him the other night. He was mad at Eric Davis from Fandango for liking Avatar, called him a shill repeatedly over the course of like 2 minutes. But then was like, he basically said like, how come you've never destroyed a movie in a tweet? Like he's literally upset that some guy who genuinely enjoys movies never destroyed a movie in a tweet.
That sounds very 2002 or 2022.
It does. It does. It's like, you ever destroy a movie, bro?
Why?
Like, I don't know, bitch.
What's
You ever
the
fucking
point?
make a movie?
Like,
That's
why
my
do you
question.
you know my stance on social media and like why do you
Yeah.
have to like shit on something just for the sake of shitting on something?
Yeah.
You know?
No, I know.
I'd rather just spread positivity, man.
Well, that's where it's like, I don't want to bitch. Like, you know, I have my complaints with like, let's say The Last Jedi, and it's been 5 years and I'm just like,
I like that
"Grr,"
movie.
right? But
Yeah.
it's like, you love that movie?
I like that movie. Yeah,
I'm
I like that
happy
movie.
for you to like that. I'm
Yeah.
happy.
No,
I don't
I
want
like that movie.
I
Yeah.
don't want to get into it.
It
I
has
don't.
its problems, but
It has so many
I mean,
problems.
here's the thing with like,
Oh my God, we're going to do this.
no, it's just a key. I'm not going to
Oh,
debate with you the
James.
merits of The Last Jedi.
You're
I'm
going to
going to
lose so bad.
tell you my point of view about studio
Sure,
films.
sure.
Like if studio film comes out and I don't like it, or like I'm not going to obsess over not liking it, you know? Like look, Once Upon a Time in Mexico came out, right? And I saw that and it came out on my birthday, or around my birthday, and I saw it. I was very happy. I thought it was like a nice birthday treat because I'm a huge Rodriguez fan. And I didn't like it at all. And I was disappointed and I was sad. And I was like, what is this fake CGI crap? How come he's not directing like he used to, you know, all that stuff. I think that was the last time I got upset about a movie. I watched it again later and I realized, okay, so he's kind of spoofing his own stuff with this style.
Yeah.
But
Well,
like
'cause
when a franchise movie comes out, like, and I grew up on Star Wars, right? So, and Star Trek and like, I guess maybe because of being a Star Trek fan, you realize you're gonna get crappy movies, you know, so like you're okay with that. To me, it's just like a franchise movie comes out, I don't like it, I'm like, oh, that sucks, it wasn't that good, let's hope the next one's better. That's my mentality.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, so that's why I'm like, I have no inclination to debate the points of The Last Jedi with you because I know a lot of people have problems with that, but I enjoyed it. And yeah, and the whole Luke Skywalker thing at the end that really hit me in the heart, you know, maybe it's like a time in my life or whatever. And the broom kid at the end was kind of cool. I know a lot of people don't like that and the lore and the whole spaceship going through the spaceship. I get the problems with it, but
I had no issue with that. My issue literally boils down to just the Luke Skywalker thing. And that has a lot to do with the studio not interfering at a time when they should have.
yeah, but see, you're looking at it as a lens that you and I look at it through. We're not looking at it as a general audience lens, or just
Oh no,
as
the
movie,
general
like,
audience.
the movie
fuck-
like stand on it as on its own merits.
It
You know, I
doesn't
think
though.
that's
It doesn't.
all-
Okay.
No,
well,
that's fine. Then that's fine. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, like, a movie should stand on its own merits, and that's how you should view it first.
sure.
Not in the whole of the franchise. Not
I
because
agree,
it ruined your
but
childhood.
but as far as
And
the
then
middle
da-
film
da-
of middle film of a trilogy goes, it's like there's so much. Anyway, we could.
No, I agree with you. It's like why did you make these movies without planning out the trilogy?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like, why does Abrams have to try and undo everything in the third one?
Oh, that was an overreaction that I actually, I mean,
Oh, I know.
I tell you this, it's been 3 years since I've seen The Rise of Skywalker. I have not had a desire to go back, to be honest, but I'll watch the ever-loving fuck out of Andor. I will watch
Andor's
Rogue One.
great, man.
I've rewatched Solo. I can't even tell you how many times because I love
Solo's
Solo.
great too. And look, but what happened with Book of Boba Fett.
I
right?
know, man. I get it. Trust me. Like my biggest beef with Book of Boba Fett, outside of some of the directorial choices and just whatever, has a lot to do with the fact. Oh, pardon. Sorry, was the fact that it's just episode 5 was just, it was like Mandalorian just took over the show.
Yeah.
But that episode was like
episodes.
Exactly. That's it was just amazing. And you're like, well, I can't be upset at this. But at the same time, it's like, there's so much good that I think was in Book of Boba Fett that was also outweighed by a lot of the shoddier choices. Yeah. And I think a big problem with that too is them trying to shoehorn it into 6 episodes. It's like, you know, like you don't need that. But then again, I watched something like Andor, and everyone's like, it's slow, it's boring. But like me, I'm like, did you like the opening of that show? It literally feels like Blade Runner. Like the mood lighting, the sound, the fucking score, the cinematography, the acting, like the brutality even of the world, like how it all came together. I'm like, I'm watching Andor and I'm like, dude, I'm in. Like I am in. And then you get to like episode 6 with the heist being, oh my fucking God, that heist. And then the prison break. Fuck, dude. Like I love Andor. And I'm pissed off that we only get 1 more season. I'm like, God damn it. You know,
I was pissed off we only got 12 episodes.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, it was so good. But it's like, that's the thing, is like the slow burn and the slow build is fine to get to if there's a payoff. And that's where I think Mandalorian season 2 kind of suffered, because I view, this is my take on that. Mandalorian season 2 plays out like Iron Man 2, the movie, where it establishes like the next phase of the story, but it's also now being used to introduce what's coming next. And that was really what it was. And I'm okay with that, because me as a grown ass man fucking broke down in tears when I see Luke Skywalker. But then me as a grown ass adult watching Book of Boba Fett was kind of like, really? You're doing Luke again? Like it felt like it was cool technology wise, but I didn't really have that big emotional connection to it, because I'm like, you did this, you did the deep fake once. Now give me an actual actor. You know, and and again, going back to the AI argument from earlier, it does kind of fall in where it's like, it feels like a hobbyist thing. Don't try to pass it off as a real thing. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the angle I was going for with that. But again, using the argument of Luke Skywalker is like that. But then again, Mando season 3, man, I think is just going to be fucking lit. So
I hope so. But I think like Andor was consistently better. Like I love the Mandalorian. My dog's name is Mando, but it's because when I got him, his name was Marco, and I'm like, I'm not calling you Marco. So it was an easy transition. But anyways, I love the Mandalorian series. But I think Andor consistently had better quality and better pacing and better overall show. You know, there's no misfired, even like when it was just the whole episode of them in prison, you know, and it was all set up. That was still brilliantly executed. And especially at the end, you know, no more than 12.
Yeah.
Right.
No more than 12. And then also the I can't swim.
Yeah.
That hit so hard. Oh my God. You know, and then Tony Gilroy, to his credit, said we didn't see him die on screen.
That's right. Andy Serkis was so good in that series.
I'm like, all right, give me more Kino Roy. Okay. Like, you know, like, let's go back to that. Cause no, everything about Andor was just fucking phenomenal from top to bottom. And it's like, this is what Star Wars needs to be. It can be like, you can do Tales of the Jedi, right? You can do Bad Batch season 2. I'm excited for Bad Batch season 2.
Yeah, I still haven't seen any of the animated Star Wars stuff.
Oh, they're great. I mean, they're a little bit rough in the beginnings. If you go back, like if you're gonna watch,
time to go back and what. That's the thing. I would love to. I don't have time to watch multiple seasons of that.
Well, there. I mean, here's the best way to view that. Actually, might work out well, because a lot of what is done in the Clone Wars is that it's told in 3 to 4 episode arcs, usually 3.
Nice.
So you can go through it relatively quickly as the seasons progress. If you go to StarWars.com, they have a Clone Wars preferred watch order. So it's like, because the show, they give you a better run through. So it's like they start off with an episode of season 2, It's a really good episode, but it allows you to see like a more mature Anakin and a more mature Obi-Wan taking on a foe. And then from there, it's like, then you go to the Clone Wars movie because it kind of sets the tone. It kind of sets the feeling, because the Clone Wars movie comes across as really cartoonish. It's aimed at kids, but then gradually as season 1 progresses, you'll kind of jump around a little bit depending on where the story is based upon the watch order. But the season 1 finale is basically Die Hard in the Senate building on Coruscant. No, in the Senate building with fucking Hans Gruber. The character of that is our introduction to Cad Bane.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And it is fucking good. It is so goddamn good. And then as you progress through there, you get a whole bunch more of these little stories that are just like, you start seeing Dave Filoni really coming into play with how he tells these stories.
Right.
And everything else. And there's some that don't land for me. Like season 4 was a bit of a rough one to get through. Some of the arcs, like there's a 4-episode arc with just the droids going on their own side mission. I lost interest. But then you start getting, as they start kind of getting towards Revenge of the Sith, it starts ramping up. And then when you get to season 7, that's 3 arcs, right? You've got like the all leading to the Siege of Mandalore. And that is, oh my God, so good. Like, I mean, fucking Sam Witwer as Darth Maul. It's just like, oh my God, dude, it's so goddamn good. And that last shot, the last shot of the Clone Wars is just like, as like, it's weird to say, like it's like peak cinema. It's so good. The way that it puts together, it's just the philosophies. I can't speak highly enough about the Clone Wars.
So many friends have told me about it, and when Clint was doing the Bad Batch reviews, I cut those for the small screen.
Yeah.
So like I got to see what was happening. It all looked good in the lore, and Clint was telling me about the lore. But can I go back to Last Jedi for a minute?
If you must.
I just want to say, like, a healthy debate like this, I'm all good for, like that's great. But I don't think like franchises, studio temple films, stuff like that deserve all the outrage. That's all.
Yeah, no, I get that. That. I think that there's individual choices there that, I think there's a lot of expectations that also go into it. Like there's movies that I've seen, like when they first come out, that I'm like, oh my God, I love this. And then later on I'll be like, nah, like it didn't really do it for me anymore. And I don't really want to go back to it. But then I'll get movies like Deadpool, right? For example. And I've told this before, but to summarize, like Deadpool, when I first saw it, I saw it opening day first show with my friend. And I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I was okay. I was like, all right, it's fine. But for something about it felt off to me. And part of that was the marketing, because I completely devoured the marketing. It's why I'm not watching Cocaine Bear trailers past what I've seen. Because Cocaine Bear for me is like, I cannot wait for that. And so, but I'm watching I'm watching Deadpool, and I'm just like, I saw the marketing, and then the marketing shows off a ton of the movie and shit. And then a couple nights later, I ended up coming across a bootleg copy of it, a cam copy of it online. And I was just, I always like to check and see the quality, right? Just out of curiosity. I'm like, how does it look? Well, I ended up catching my attention. I had some work to do. So I just kind of left it running as I had my headphones on. And then I ended up just watching the whole movie again. And when I got to the end of the movie, it clicked. It just clicked for me. I'm like, oh my God, I was so wrong. Holy fuck, I love this goddamn thing. So then the next weekend, I took my girlfriend to go see it. So we went back again, and I'm watching it, and I'm sitting there with her, and I'm kind of looking at her reaction, waiting to see how she responds to some of my favorite parts in the movie. And I'm getting nothing out of her. I'm getting stone cold silence, like the whole fucking movie. And I'm just like, oh God, she just must hate this movie. I'm like, oh my, I'm like, holy, am I wrong about this? Like in my mind, I'm kind of going a mile a minute. But then it gets to the scene of the helicarrier when he kills everybody and he spells out the name Francis.
Yeah.
And when that joke pops, she loses it. She just busts up laughing. And I was like, okay, cool. And the movie's over like 10 minutes later. Yeah. As we're walking out of the theater, and I'm just like, so I like it. She's like, oh my God, I fucking loved it. It was amazing. I want to see it again. And I'm like, but sometimes it takes that moment.
Yeah.
And like, and not every movie's going to nail it. Like The Force Awakens for me, I unequivocally love The Force Awakens. I don't care that it's a similar beat for beat tonal rehash of A New Hope. I don't care about that. I like what JJ, well, yeah, JJ does. And he, and Iger kind of pushed for it a little bit, but it's like, I went and saw this movie, and I love this movie, and I still love this movie because to me, The Force Awakens represents hope for the franchise. Like, it represents what could possibly come. What I didn't care for with The Last Jedi was like the cynicism.
Oh,
that
dude,
went
yeah,
with it.
just beating you over the head with the past must die. I get it.
It was just, and I'm just like, okay, fine, I get that. It's like, also you had Carrie Fisher's death. And so it's like the Carrie Poppins things I felt was just like, I'm like, look, we can, there is a suspension of disbelief when it comes to movies in space that we have to accept. All right. That we just have to accept. But when she's sucked out into the vacuum of space and then still force pulls herself back in, it was so utterly ridiculous because it would made literally and figuratively no goddamn sense. Also, as just a longtime fan of the franchise, the complete utter obliteration of fucking it's a trap, right? Like, I don't know why my mind blanked. Taking out that character in that moment. And I don't know why I cannot think of his name right now. What is his name? You know his name.
Oh, Admiral Akbar?
Akbar. I don't know why I blinked on Akbar. But it's like Akbar, killing off Akbar in an unceremonious fashion also bothered me. Because I'm like, look, you can sit there and argue that he had only a bit part in Return of the Jedi. But at the same time, you have to look at it through the lens of legacy and look at it through the lens of the fandom. He might have had a bit part in that movie, but over the course of 30, 40, 35 years, he very much found himself a very beloved part of that fandom. And if you've seen Clone Wars, Akbar gets a lot more play.
Or if you read the comic books like I have.
Yeah.
He gets him, and then you have his son. Yeah.
Yeah. And you get a lot more of that. And so it's like, here's my take. I'm like, for one, Admiral Hodo, I had nothing against the character at all. Like, I know people called her Admiral SJW or whatever. I had nothing against the character. Would have liked to spend more time with her, but she did not deserve the sacrifice. That was not for her character to do.
See, I saw the movie once.
Oh, really?
And
oh my.
And what I remember, I remember what you're talking about in some other parts, and and how they did, Luke and the lightsaber fight and all that, and then he dies, and and that touched me. But yeah,
I understand that, but for me, like, I was already kind of like frustrated watching the movie, and then but in that moment though, again, like when you take it, when you're looking at a franchise and when you're looking at a story, if you want to have a character sacrifice, there's got to be an emotional resonance with that character.
Dude, I know. I'm a Star Trek fan. All right.
Yeah.
We have
you get it. You totally fucking get it, right? Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
Like
Wrath of
that,
Khan.
oh my God. Did that make you cry when you were a kid?
Star Trek Nemesis with Data.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was spoiled for me before I saw it. I was so pissed. I was so pissed off about that and everything, because I love Next Generation. I love Data. But I mean, sacrifices in these movies have to have emotional weight behind them.
No, I agree.
Having a character that we've only gotten really 20 minutes on screen, if that, doing this massively heroic thing, which, don't get me wrong, was fucking cool. I had no issue at all with that. I thought that was great. Right? But it was just like, why? Why is it her? It doesn't make any sense for a story to not only to not only wrap up a storyline, because Akbar, sure, if he would have done it, it would have been seen as the Akbar maneuver. It would have been heralded by fans. It's like, dude, fuck, they killed him, but my God, he went out in a blaze of glory. Like fucking Mace Windu. Sam Jackson told George Lucas, I go out in a blaze of glory. Like, I got to have a cool death. And they gave him one of the cooler deaths. So it's like, you can have this, you can reference these things again. That's totally fine. But then you go to the Luke Skywalker situation, and it's like, okay, so for one, never has there been on screen in any of the Star Wars references to, for one, that level of Force doppelganger, and two, you ever dying from Force exertion. That's never been talked about. That's never been established. Yeah. So to have him Force doppelganger himself. And there's even a scene that they cut, by the way. There's a scene that they cut. So, okay. So here's the thing with The Last Jedi, right? There's three. Okay. So we know how the stories roll out in threes, right? Or elements always pop up in threes. So look at the Force connection that Kylo and Rey had. So the first time they talk, the second time Kylo notices that his hand is wet, right? And then the third time they touch and they kind of almost kiss before Luke shows up.
Yeah.
So that's indicating that the Force, so that is establishing the Force doppelganger approach to that. But it's also saying that they can have physical interactions with each other. In fact, JJ kept that going with them battling it out because they're the dyad. Obviously, that's what they were getting for in Rise of Skywalker. But they had them continue that forward in the Rise of Skywalker, where now like they just go into the space and they're able to kind of like jump from one space to another. Fine, but there's physical interactions there. If you go back and watch The Last Jedi again, and I don't know if they cut this for the home video release, whatever, but I remember seeing this specifically when I saw the movie in the preview screening, and that was when Luke is on the rock and he comes back. You can notice there's a shot where he looks like he is holding his side. I
think I remember that.
And then, but they cut around it. They don't show it. They show him looking at the twin sons of Octu. The music swells. Obviously, it's hearkening back to the scene from A New Hope, where we get that first vision of a young farm boy who's going to be going off on this epic journey to save the galaxy. All of those things, all of those emotions, and then he just fucking vanishes with no goddamn explanation. None. If they would have shown him being wounded, it would have tied in thematically and also in continuity with what they would have shown us previously, with the fact that they would have been interacting across the universe and in the same space due to the Force. So it was already established, but they cut around it and didn't explain it.
What do you think about horses in space?
Fuck my ass. That was dumb. But you know what's? But it's just, I mean, like that's the thing with The Last Jedi. It's like, yeah, the horses. That was so the fucking knife. I mean, like it was his Goonies. I'm an Oregon-born kid, dude. Okay, Goonies is in my DNA. All right, like that is something that all of us Oregonian-born kids hold.
Horses
to that shit.
In space was in The Last Jedi. I'm not talking about the casino scene.
Oh no, the horses in space was in the fucking
the final one.
Was in the final Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Oh no, that was dumb. That was so dumb. That was so unequivocally stupid. I don't even know why. Like, let's put, because I know it's a space Western, so JJ's like, let's put horses on a fucking Star Destroyer. Yeah, because, sure. And what happened to them at the end? They all fucking died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but no one ever talks about the mass genocide of fucking space horses. Jesus. But that was dumb too. But then also when they go to the casino planet, which is an entirely wasted plot point.
It's just.
Because, here's my thing with that, right? Here's the thing with that. You could have established, oh my God, did I ever tell you my pitch for getting rid of Canto Bight? Check this out.
No, but you go ahead. I'm still listening. I'm just going to make a sandwich.
I know. Now you've got me riled up, so we're talking about this, right? But the thing with that is, though, is that when they go to Canto Bight, they go to Canto Bight.
Next, we're going to do Star Trek movies next stream. And then the positions will be reversed.
By all means, because I don't remember a lot of them. Or I remember elements of this. I have to go watch them again. It's been a while. But I'll probably end up agreeing with you on plot points, hey, look, Star Trek 5 is a thing, right? That exists. But anyway, they go to Canto Bight in order to find this fucking safecracker that Maz Kanata sends them on this mission. Okay, cool. For one, they're literally in like the galaxy's longest space chase. And yet somehow they're able to scoot away in a fucking little, in a little other ship and use cloaking technology, which, by the way, has not been established as a thing in Star Wars at this point in time. You can do signal jammers, you can scramble people, whatever they might be able to see you, or they not know who you are, but cloaking has not been an issue, has not been talked about. But they're able to get away cool, no problem. No one just happens to notice that the ship just ejects from the side of this cruiser as the dreadnought, the big motherfucking dreadnought, is right behind it. But whatever, I digress. They go to Canto Bight, try to find the safecracker, end up getting arrested, end up going into jail, end up meeting DJ, who is now like, oh, this master, safecracker, this thief, he can help him out. Okay, fine. I'm okay with that. Leave that storyline. Change the location. Because here's the thing with this. When we first meet Rose Tico, what is she doing? She's in the holding bay, stopping anyone from escaping. She is tasing motherfuckers to keep them from abandoning ship. And what does she do with people that she catches? Well, she probably locks them up in a brig of some kind. So when we have them discussing their plan,
that's a good point.
When they have them discussing their plan,
I agree with you about the ship and the cloaking.
Thank you. And when if it was like a Klingon bird of prey, that would be an entirely different situation, but it's not. Anyway, so when they're talking about their plan to go to Canto Bight, they're discussing it down in the holding bay. That's where they're plotting this thing out before they choose to go.
Or a Romulan warship.
Yeah, there you go. And so they're discussing it down there. So I'm like, okay, completely scrap Canto Bight. Instead, have them discuss their plan about going and getting the safecracker, because you can still have that be a thing. But they're like, how are we going to get there? We're not able to get away because they're going to see us. And then all of a sudden, you hear Benicio del Toro from a brig, from a holding cell, and he basically runs through the same spiel. And then to prove that he can get out of any situation, he picks the lock because he was going to do it anyway. So then he's like, look, here's the deal. We'll go over there. We'll find a way to get over there. We'll crack it. We'll steal back this file. We'll stop them from tracking us. And then I go on my merry way. That's the deal. That's the plan, because rats always flee a sinking ship, right? And live to fight another day, sort of thing. So they go, okay, great. They jump over there. They go through the exact same plan. They get over to the dreadnought, and then you find out he's the double agent. He's the one with the tracking device that has been allowing the dreadnought to follow the ship through hyperspace. Holy shit, mic drop. Bam. You're telling me that the First Order now has spies in the Resistance? Holy shit. That's a mind blow situation, because we never see that. We always, throughout Star Wars, have always seen that our spies, the Bothans, the people getting, Andor, are always working against the Empire. Now, in Andor, they make a great argument for why that is, in regards to the Empire doesn't care. They have so much wealth and so much power. They don't give a shit about the minute things. But then if you look at how the ISB operates, they're fully aware of what certain members of the rebellion are up to in the early phases. And they're trying to run counter to that without making it a full-blown thing. But we go to The Last Jedi, and now we go, hey, they have a spy in us. That changes the fucking game. And then you can still play out the movie the rest of the same way if you want to, but it just gets rid of 20 minutes of a useless side plot to take them off the ship to a planet where Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a weird multi-eyed alien that's like, hey, you guys can't park there on that beach. Because Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
It's because the director or some producer or someone wanted to make a statement about cruelty to animals.
Yeah, but you leave the slave children. But you leave the slave children.
Right?
Right? Yeah. Okay. There we go. I'm just saying. That's my John here says you're making a better story than Rian Johnson ever did in TOJ. It's like, that's the thing. It's like you have to look at it through the lens of how does this apply to what has previously come before it. You don't have to 100% carbon copy it. You don't. But there's themes, and there are elements at play, and there are callbacks, and yes, there are member berries. But you can use that as a way to craft a very complex narrative that is going to not only move the story forward, but appeal to the fans who are there.
Yeah, like The Matrix 4.
Still haven't seen it. And I can't bring myself to watch it. That's the thing.
Wow.
I love the Matrix trilogy. The Matrix, the original was the very first movie I ever cried at because of how joyful that action scene was in the lobby. When that shit dropped and you hear Spy Break for the first time, and all of a sudden all the gun foo's going on and all the squibs are blowing. I mean, dude, my mind melted. I fell back in my seat. Tears welled up. I started to cry for how intense it was. I still remember that moment back in March of 1999 when I had just turned 17. Like, that to me is a pivotal ass moment for watching that movie.
The greatest trailer made all time not all time, sorry, in the last, I'd say 30 years. Well, after Alien, okay? Let's put it that way. Is The Matrix. Especially the first teaser. What is The Matrix? And show you quick snippets. Now, I've watched it recently, and it doesn't really hold up, but that impacted me like you're talking about.
Yeah. Some movies, dude, like, I'll watch some trailers and they'll put it together and shit, and like, some stuff just gets to me, man. Some stuff just speaks to me in ways where it's like, like watching Clerks, because of what it means to me, not only as part of my filmmaking journey, however flawed or failed that is, but it's just like what it meant to me as a kid, and what it meant to me just watching someone who created something, who is able to get it out there and tell stories of these characters that are funny and they're relatable, and how it impacted me my entire life. And it's like, again, I look at Star Wars and I remember as a kid watching, you know, Empire and Jedi and A New Hope all the time and shit like that, not fully understanding them, but the emotion and the feelings. And of course, growing up watching Indiana Jones and Goonies and fucking all the great 80s films and shit. Like, I even love Masters of the Universe, man. You know, like, it's a terrible movie, but like, I loved it as a kid.
Again, it's when you watch this stuff, right?
Yeah.
How it impresses upon your psyche.
It really does. Like, so the other day, for example, I was watching, like I've said this so far, there's been 2 new Christmas classics released in 2022. Violent Night, which I highly recommend. Cause it's a fun,
I've heard good things.
It's a fun, and it's, here's the thing. You would think a movie like that would be super cynical. The exact opposite. It's actually remarkably hopeful. As weird as that is to say. And then Spirited on Apple TV Plus with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds. I watched it. I enjoyed it.
Really like that movie. So.
Yeah. I watched it again and I was like, oh my God, I fucking love this goddamn movie. You know? And it's like, it's really funny and it's really socially poignant. And there's a lot there that's really good. And I'm watching these movies and like, that's one of the things that I'm trying to do with like the Podio commentary stuff is like, just watch more because of how these movies make us feel is what I want to convey. In many instances, that's the shit that I really like is when we talk about these things. It's like, you know, what was it? I think one guy on Twitter, I think it was Scott Wampler, had said tonight about like, he doesn't like to bash on movies because of how many people made them. And I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. It's why it's like The Last Jedi is the one I have trouble with. Like, I don't want to attack the merits of the filmmaking.
That goes back to what I said about like, they don't deserve the outrage.
Yeah.
You know, especially like a franchise, you know, well, especially an indie film, but like a franchise, they're just there to get money in the from the box office, right? But the directors, they know what the job has to do, but they try and put in their own heart and make it the best film they can. Unless, you know, you're completely cynical like Rian Johnson was.
Yeah, Ryan, he was completely cynical. But here's the funny thing about that too is Knives Out, he wasn't cynical.
Haven't
like Knives Out is great. I can't.
See, I love Brick. I love Brick.
Brick was cynical. Brick was pretty cynical, but it was good. It was really good. Yeah, like, you know, like I didn't care for Looper. Looper was deeply cynical and just like it was angry. It was very mean-spirited, in my opinion. I don't know why. I didn't really care for Looper that much. I got to give it another watch. It's been 10 years, but when I first saw it, I was all jazzed for it. The story sounds amazing. You know, like I love everybody who's in it. And then I watch it and I'm like, oh God, it's just whatever. But Knives Out comes across to me as the like antithesis to a Rian Johnson movie. And that's kind of like where it's like, I was watching Bullet Train, for example, and not everyone likes it. Film. But I love it. I thought it caught me off guard. I was so mad at myself for not having seen it in theaters. But I'm watching it, and one of the comments I'd made about Bullet Train when I first saw the trailer was, "Oh my God, David Leitch finally discovers color." And a lot of people were like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, if you ever go back, watch Atomic Blonde, watch Hobbs and Shaw, watch Deadpool 2. The color palettes are exceptionally muted. They're very muted. It almost comes across as slightly monochrome at times. But then you watch Bullet Train, it takes place in Tokyo, which is overwhelmingly neon, overwhelmingly color. And then the way that he approached like the dialogue and the acting and everything else was much snappier than his usual films. And it just felt like it was more fun and more carefree. And I think a lot of that had to do with Brad Pitt and Brad Pitt's approach to that particular character of how he was just like, hey man, I'm just here doing a job and shit, man. Fuck, I don't know what's going on, you know? And he's always like positive. The outlook was positive. And so I think that really heavily tied into the concept of what that movie was. And if you apply it to, let's say, something like Atomic Blonde, sure, the themes are entirely different. The settings are entirely different. But Atomic Blonde, even though it is dealing with the fall of, the Berlin Wall around that time period, it is still deeply cynical, you know, and there's not a lot of levity in the movie. And I feel that like, that's kind of where Chad Stahelski where him and David Leitch separated. You know, because they both co-directed John Wick. Mm-hmm. And so Stahelski has worked. He's like, okay, let's do color. Let's do silhouettes. Let's do this. Let's try neon. Let's try, crazier shit. But let's also
Well, 'cause
develop.
that's what John Wick was about experimenting as well in the genre.
Yeah, and they found a great way. Even though I still find the fact that the suits are bulletproof to be wildly stupid.
Bullet resistant.
If you watch the trailer for John Wick 4, it just shows him like and the other guy basically just like firing at each other. And like whatever, I'm still gonna watch it. Yeah, but it's like, but they've found a way to establish the lore and build the lore out. And on top of that, keeping with their own ideals in regards to how the films are made and how they're put together, it has established a loyalty with that fan base. And that's something that I don't think David Leitch would have brought to the table. That's something Chad Stileski has expanded upon and done very well with. So there's a lot there. I mean, there's just a lot with this kind of stuff. But anyway, here, H-Bart's dropped the $5. You mentioned this one. Drunken Master 2 fight scenes blew me away. Don't watch the crap American cut. Cut down Legend of Drunken Master.
Agreed. Yeah. At first, when I read the comment, I thought he was saying that don't watch the American crap like The Matrix. But that's Yunwo Ping. But yeah, Drunken Master, man, one of the best experiences in the cinema I ever had was this $2 theater in Toronto, and it was The Legend of the Drunken Master. Drunken Master 2. And the crowd was just great. And normally I don't like rowdy or talking people when I'm watching a movie in the theater, but this was just like, it was like a party. It was so much fun, man. Like, have you seen the movies?
I've seen The Legend of Drunken Master, the American re-release. I saw that in theaters. And and I had fun. I didn't know anything about it, like I remember after The Matrix came out, I was working at Hollywood Video at the time, and in 99, in the summer and fall of 99, and Iron Monkey was re-released.
Yeah. And
I watched Iron Monkey and I went, fuck. Right. But then I think it's like a totally different movie because there was like another clip of another Iron Monkey I saw. So I don't really remember all that I saw, but I remember like really digging it, back in the day and stuff. There's just like, that's the thing. There's so many cool movies that just, I feel like, I don't feel like necessarily fell through the cracks, but in essence, part of them have
you gotta watch SPL, man. That probably fell through the cracks for you.
Wait, SPL?
Yeah, it's called what's the American name?
Oh, I thought you were saying like SLP, like SLC Punk or something.
No,
with like Devin Sawa.
Chopin Lone. It's Donnie Yen, Sammo Hung, directed by Wilson Yip.
Okay.
Same trio that did Ip Man.
I've never seen those movies.
Oh man, so SPL is about Father's Day, and you've never seen the Ip Man? Okay, so Ip Man 1 and 2 are great. It goes kind of off the rails, not the best quality because Wilson Yip didn't direct number 3, but he came back for number 4, which I haven't watched yet. Because again, it's one of those movies you have to bring yourself to watch.
Yeah.
But I definitely like if you're talking about martial arts and a really good fight choreography, it's like Sammo Hung, Donnie Yen, and SPL is great. And then they did kind of like a sequel called Flashpoint. Yeah, I'll send you the links.
Okay.
Let me find the SPL English name. Killzone. Right. Yeah, it's called Killzone. Yeah. Those are great. That's why everyone's like who's saying like movies are dying. We live in the worst decade, like Tarantino said for movies. But that's only if you're counting North America. You're missing all these other countries that have like great films and doing really good mid-budget films.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is like our studio system is gone. I don't want to say creatively bankrupt because I think that's not right. I don't think that's fair, but they almost are. It's getting to that point where it's just like if something is not something that can be turned into a trilogy or a franchise, what's the fucking point? And it's like that's where again watching something like Violent Night. It's a fun little movie. It's a $20 million budget. It doesn't need a sequel. It wouldn't really make sense for it to have a sequel, but I mean if they decided to expand out the lore because there's lore. Surprisingly, you have questions. I would be okay with that, but it's also like Fat Man. I fucking loved Fat Man, and that one people been asking for a sequel to Fat Man, but I don't think it needs one. Mel Gibson gives a great performance. Walton Goggins gives a great performance. It's
on my playlist actually too. I was saving it for this Christmas.
Oh, I'm gonna watch Fat Man is great.
Christmas Story 2, and then I'm gonna watch Fat Man.
Fat Man is awesome. Fat Man is great. It's just
can you play a minute or 2 of that?
Of which one? Oh, what you sent
link
me?
I sent in the private chat.
Okay, let me see here. All right. All right. I am probably going to get so fucking claimed for this. But that's
I
fine.
don't think so.
I get a
Maybe.
lot of claims. I mean, we showed like, a minute of this like Uber or Domino's guy getting jacked the other night, getting his car stolen, and that had a content ID claim. It was crazy. They've just been really, really, really hammering it recently. But that's okay.
There's
All right,
Dat Boy Steve. Changed his name to Dat Boy 22. What's
Oh,
up,
okay.
man?
All right. So here is Killzone SPL Donnie Yen versus Wu Jing. And then, all right. And then there's still, I know there's super chats from behind on, guys. We'll get to that here in a few. All right. So here. You always know shit's going to go down because of the music.
The beat drop. Fight choreography is insane. All right, I got to pull that off because I'm already getting notifications that they're going to take it down. So that's the thing, man. When you watch, when you think, oh, these movies aren't going to have it. No, they fucking have it.
They fucking have it here. H Barts, man. No, I'm not going to watch the Jackie Chan thing because that will probably end up with the stream itself getting entirely taken down.
Yeah.
That's the problem with some of these things. Like we've watched Jackie Chan clips before, and it's literally ended with a worldwide block on the video. So that is the problem with that shit completely. But all right. But I do appreciate that. All right. Well, let's see here.
Definitely check out SPL.
Yeah, no, that was a good fight. That was a good fight. That was a very good
I am
fight.
gonna have to get going soon.
Yeah, no. If you want to dip, you can dip. I got to wrap this thing up because it's almost 1 a.m. So I got to
I'll
get to
help you
bed.
wrap up if you're gonna go through super chats.
Okay, there's a couple things and a couple little. I think they want to watch like the Nerdrotic response to Avatar for some reason. It's pretty bad. It's just ridiculously stupid.
Yes, so I'm gonna get going then. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you very much for hanging out tonight, James. A good time as always.
Thanks. Appreciate you having me on. It's good
Yeah.
discussions. Yeah.
A lot of fun. And then check out smallscreen.co, everybody.
Yeah, definitely do that.
All right.
Thanks for
go to
playing with me, so I didn't have to do it. Later.
I'll see you later, buddy. Have a good one. That was fun. Okay. Let us catch up here because we're like an hour and a half behind on some of these. I apologize, you guys, but thank you all very much. Command Unit for 5 says, I recommend watching Angry Joe's response to the Warhammer news. He's a big 40K fan. It's a fun comparison to his reaction from the earlier. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. We won't do it tonight because it's already been running for too long, but maybe, I don't think we're going to get to the member stream. Things got a little derailed tonight from what I was, not to say that in a bad way. It was just, I had a plan and then it just didn't happen. And then here we are. But Command Unit here also says The Rock needs to join the Warhammer Cinematic Universe. He fits well as a Space Marine already. You're not wrong on that. Actually, I think if The Rock were to join, that would be a wise choice. But would he give up power? That becomes the question. That becomes the question of it all. So there's that. Thank you very much for that, buddy. All right. So then we've got Jess here asking, what's your thoughts on Pokemon finally retiring Ash Ketchum? It's been over 20 years. It's been like 25 years, dude. I mean, Ash is a staple in the Pokemon community, but I mean, everything comes to an end, right? Everything eventually comes to an end. I know they're doing a new show and they're focusing on a new character and new Pokemon, and they're going to wrap up that storyline and whatever. And I mean, look, Ash just became the world champion, right? That's what I was reading the other day. So it's now that Ash became the world champion, maybe it's time to move on. Ash finally got what Ash wants, as you know, he now turns like in his late 30s. All things considered, give the man a fucking break. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, it sucks for a longtime fans, but you know what? These things, they happen. They definitely happen. Garrick here for 5 things, but he says, so I guess The Rock will try to make that Amazon Red One project his franchise now, since Black Adam is a bust. I mean, it's got J.K. Simmons, it's got Chris Evans. They want it to be a franchise. They have actually said that they want the Red One to be a movie that like spawns a whole bunch of shit, like merchandise and toys, and they want it to be a franchise. Surprised that there's been no movement forward on Red Notice 2 since they greenlit it a year ago. They haven't even filmed the movie yet, so I have no idea what's going on. Ryan here for 5 things, but he says, have you ever seen Brad Bird's version of The Spirit? I have not. I don't even know what that is. If you want to send that to me on Discord, I'll give it a watch later on. So thank you. Command Unit here for 5 things. He says, Kaifus Kane books on Audible are the best. Ryan, you already did it. All right. I'll definitely watch it after the stream tonight, just because we've been running for a long time. And my voice is starting to go. But all right here. So Command Unit here says Kaifus Kane books on Audible are the best place to start if you want to get into 40K. It also is an amazing book series, 10 out of 10 for me so far. He's definitely said that before. So that could be maybe where they start working on stuff for the show. Who knows? Galiot here for $2. Thank you. Says Weber versus Harbor, film fight of the ages. But what he meant to say was Jarbo. Yeah, I would love to battle Eric Weber. I think that'd be very fascinating to battle what is the equivalent of a human chode. 100%. Thank you. H. Rush for 5 says the only issue with TLJ is that I wanted Luke alive in the third movie to fight Kylo or even Palpatine and sacrifice himself. Yeah, well, that should have been what happened. I mean, that's just like, again, Use your through line of everything else. Use the through line. They didn't do that. I think I laid out a pretty interesting case as to why, just narratively speaking, The Last Jedi sucks. Narratively. But thank you for that, man. All right, watch Jackie Chan versus Brad Allen. If you send me that on Twitter DM, I'll watch it later on. He also says here, Sammo Hung and Yuen Bao are underrated. Never heard of them, but I take your absolute word for it, man. Let's see here. By the way, your favorite Pringo is buffalo wings and they're back. Yeah, baby. Yeah, I got to get my fat ass shit on, motherfucker. I got to get my fucking buffalo wing Pringles, baby. I love those things. And then H Bart's here with an AI story reminder. All right, so let me bring this up here. So H Bart's has been having fun with this stuff. Do I have a track here I can play? I don't think. Let me see if I can find something. Let me see if I can find. You know what? I'm just gonna do. I'll do this track. All right, we'll play this, and we're gonna set it up. We're gonna set it up a bit. There we go. Little lo-fi, little chill. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you all a story. Gather round, children. Gather round. Because this is the story of the time that Matt Jarbo and Kevin Smith fought each other to the death at a film festival. Part 2. After their epic battle at the film festival, Matt Jarbo and Kevin Smith were both left shaken, but ultimately victorious. They had each proven their worth as filmmakers, and their names were now known across the industry. However, the fame and attention came with its own set of challenges as they continued to make movies and attend film festivals. They found themselves constantly at odds with each other. Each one wanted to be the best, and they would stop at nothing to outdo each other. The rivalry between Matt and Kevin reached its climax at the Sundance Film Festival. The two were both in attendance, each with their own film in the running for the top prize. The tension between them was palpable, and the other attendees could feel it in the air. When the time came for the awards ceremony, both Matt and Kevin were on the edge of their seats. They watched as the winners were announced, each holding their breath as their names were finally called. Finally, it was announced that Matt's film had won the grand prize, and he stood up to accept the award. Yeah, baby. But Kevin was not about to let him have the last word. He jumped onto the stage, grabbed the microphone from Matt, and began to speak. I may have lost the award, but I am still the better filmmaker, he declared. I challenge you to another battle, Matt, right here, right now. The audience was stunned, but Matt was not about to back down. He accepted the challenge, and the two of them began to fight once again. They battled it out on the stage, each one trying to prove their worth as a filmmaker. In the end, it was Matt who emerged victorious once again. He stood over Kevin's unconscious body, panting and exhausted. He had proven himself as the better filmmaker, and the crowd erupted into applause. As they celebrated his victory, Matt realized that he had reached a new level of fame and success. He was now one of the most respected filmmakers in the industry, and he knew that he could make anything happen. And so he began work on Clerks 4, the highly anticipated sequel to the original film. He poured his heart and soul into the project, and when it was finally released, it was an instant hit. The fans loved it, and Matt was hailed as a master of his craft. The rivalry between Matt and Kevin may have ended, but their legacy as filmmakers lived on. They had proven themselves as true masters of their art, and their names would forever be remembered in the annals of film history. What? What? What the hell? Oh my God, man. Oh my God. There you go, folks. That is AI writing. You know, you could make that some erotic fiction. I think that would definitely be a thing. Holy shit. Enterprising here says that was some bullshit. That was. I would never make Clerks 4. I would never, ever, ever make Clerks 4. That would definitely be above my goddamn pay grade if I was going to do Clerks 4. But all right, one of the things I want to check out here is because Saggy had sent this to me. I don't really know what's happening. Apparently, it's a puppet reacting to Andy Signor's masturbation video, I'm assuming. Command unit here, $2. Thank you, says the Jarbo multiverse. Goddamn right, man. Goddamn right. Thank you for that, command unit. So this is Saggy's puppet, I think, or someone's puppet. I'm not too sure. I don't know what's going to happen here, but we're going to find out if this, Jesus.
That video me to ask you about some fucking video. I don't know, some Andy Signor. Yeah, I mean, fine, just tell me. Just stop there! Stop! I don't want to know anymore! I don't want it! Fuck you! Fuck you! Why the fuck you gonna put me through that? I don't need to hear that shit!
I wanted you to do a reenactment. Sure, you don't puppet.
Oh yeah, baby! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Wow. Oh, jeezy creasy, guys. Jeezy creasy. That is definitely a hell of a thing right there. How the fuck? And I recognize that voice too. It's nice to know Lunga is still around to some capacity. Jesus Christ. Holy shit. Well then, I mean, yes, if a puppet reenacts what happened with that, that's going to be a hell of a thing. But all right, I guess for the final little bit tonight, because it is after 1 a.m. and it's been a long but fun stream. Mr. Gary from Nerd Rise. This is Garrick had asked this. Just to check it out. This is Gary giving his review of Avatar: The Way of Water. It's pretty stupid, but here we go.
Just got out of Avatar 2, and I feel the same way about this film, exactly the same way as I did the first film. It's very pretty. It was dumb. It was boring. And I will forget about it by the time I hit the car.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's getting pretty flamed for that, as per usual. But again, Gary and his takes on fucking movies do not move the needle in any conceivable fashion, at least in my particular viewpoint of it. The guy's a fucking moron. Huge, gigantoid piece of crap. Hey, look, it's another puppet. There we go. Walter White, greater than Nerdotic. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Walter White has dealt less meth to children. My take, at least, my speculation, my theory. Look, here's the thing, man, is I really, really liked I liked Avatar: The Way of Water. I thought it was a solid movie, a lot of emotion there, a lot of fun to dive into. And people like Gary, they don't have a soul. I think we can agree that they simply do not have a soul, that they are more than likely just very terrible individuals on the inside who had very bad childhoods and ultimately kind of hate life. I think that's kind of a fair assessment. He might be making money grifting people on the internet, but he's still a piece of shit. Yay! And yes, I played another puppet video, but this time it wasn't my puppet video, so I can take no credit. And that's okay. That's all right. That's what we do here. But anyway, guys, it is 1:15 in the morning. I am exhausted. I've got to get to bed. My voice is killing me. I appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. Thank you again to Jimbo who came by, to James from Small Screen. Thank you to Saggy for the funny puppet video. Thank you to everybody for the super chats. You guys have been really, really, really awesome this month so far. It's like we're ahead of the curve for the usual. So thank you all so much for that. That's going to help out quite a bit. And I look forward. We're going to do a member stream. I'll do it tomorrow night. I won't do an actual stream. We'll probably, unless some crazy news breaks, But we'll probably just do a member stream tomorrow night. It will be a private affair. I'll talk about it on Patreon as well as the Discord and the channel membership stuff. Because we'll check something out. We'll just do that tomorrow night. I won't focus on doing a stream and then leading over to that. So check the channel stuff, and I'll talk to you guys then. Have let's see here, Belly of the Beast would bring you some dosh in. Is that that fucking the Seagal thing? We'll do that next week. We'll do that next week. Yes, for the Emperor command you to thank you, buddy. I'll talk to you guys all later. This has been a very, very, very long episode of Hollywood After Dark, but as always, it is a lot of fun, and I wouldn't be here without you guys. So I really appreciate you. Have a great night wherever you might be,